64 tick servers and 128 tick servers, I can tell you the difference. The bit that pisses me off is if Valve have made it impossible to even try 128 tick sub-tick servers, why? Is it because it makes no difference? Then if it makes no difference, why disable it? Why not let people have it?
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals, bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, train. It's a good vibe, train. It's a good vibe, train. Good vibe, train.
We're live. Welcome to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. I'm Chad Sponge Birchall. I think I'm ranked in the top 300 European fucking MMR Premier Cube list. So welcome. You've come to the right place if you want to hear about CS2. The game is telling you I'm a top 300 player. I don't think it's lying. Joining me on tonight's show, we've got Prof. Prof, is the game lying?
The game is not lying. I mean, there's also additional information to back this claim up because on the Valve ranking of teams, Team Sponge is up there. They are in the rankings for the RMR. I don't know if they're going to make it, but they have a good shot. These lads are playing hard. They're shooting hard, and the sky's the limit.
Actually undeniable, isn't it, STYKO? I know you were willing to write an article about it today saying, can you believe Sponge is in the top 300 on the EU leaderboards? But I denied comment. So I'll have to give it to you live today. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay.
Not interested.
Maybe that'll come later in the day. But welcome everybody to another episode. We were brought to you by 22Bet. Remember to gamble responsibly. SteelSeries. They do some bloody good kit. And we all love kit. Mouse pads, headphones, keyboards, all that good stuff. And Tradeit.gg. If you're in the marketplace for some skins, you know where to go. Check them out, see what they've got in store. All right. Well, gentlemen, we got Dimitri producing the show tonight. Lucas has not called in sick. He just said, I don't want to do it, which is fair enough. Sometimes we don't want to do things. Sometimes I don't want to take the bins out. And now I have a bin full of trash in my kitchen that I won't be able to take out until Saturday.
And then you have bin juice.
Yeah. So maybe I should have done it.
When you have bin juice, then you regret a lot of things when the bin juice situation happens. Then you have to like clean it up. Then you clean it up, but it's still there. Then you need to spray it with something. Then you need to clean that up. And it's very bad. Take out the trash, kids.
Yeah, and then make sure you recycle as well. I'm trying to be a little bit more on top of my recycling. Really separating the food scraps, putting that in a separate bin bag. Yeah, I really want to try and be a good recycler the older I get. STYKO, how's recycling in your household? Or is it just recycling stolen goods from office stores?
I have separate bins for everything. So
okay,
at least for everything that we kind of recycle over here in Czech Republic. But we are actually pretty green about that. So good stuff.
Pretty green about that. So you're new to recycling in the Czech Republic is what you're saying? Yeah, see, we're on form tonight, gentlemen. We're on.
The puns are delivering.
That pun level.
Yeah. Look, so we have a lot of news to cover. There's been some breaking news that's come out recently. Mirror put an article out on
Yeah.
Dexoto about the
Talking
whole.
about paper, there's a lot of it moving around in
Yeah.
this story.
Or not enough, which is why there are movements. So, look, we've got the recent news. I think what we should do is just quickly blaze through some of these topics because I don't think these are going to be too heavy on. Then we can move into all these different roster rumors, even the ones that confirmed, and then the later half of this, and we can see how long it goes. Start talking about CS2 and all the ramifications for all of that coming up. So, Dimitri, let's roll the bumper. Let's get into the recent news and let's start chatting. All right, we're back and we're in action. So let's start off with the GamerLegion news. Snax joining. Now, this one, I think it's exciting because it's Snax. That's, I think, probably the thing that tickled most of people's pickle. But outside of this, what do we make of the move, Prof? Are you underwhelmed? Are you
Honestly,
interested?
I didn't make much of it because like I'm dieting now. I'm trying to like get in shape, so I'm avoiding snacks completely. So I don't really have any
What
thoughts on
is
it.
going on today?
I missed that. Sorry. Can you do the dad joke again for me? I really want to. I want to
Like
make sure.
snacks, snacking,
Oh,
like
okay.
chips.
Yes.
And then the Polish player Jan.
Yes. No, it was
Pogorzelski,
good, and that's why I
aka
had you
snacks,
repeat it. That was actually great. I really love that. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Even going to be Dexter approved, who's in the chat with us right now. So he is
There
a
we
dad,
go.
as we all know. Left him all at home. But
There.
on a slightly serious note, Prof, is this even serious news?
I mean, it is because, like, honestly, why? How did this happen? It's very interesting because I looked back again, like the last time they GamerLegion played. I know I was pretty okay with their result at
Yeah.
Pro League. Like, it wasn't blowing anyone away, but like it wasn't too bad. And now they made a roster change, so I don't think the results in themselves like would warrant the roster change
Hmm.
because literally all they played was Cologne, Gamers 8, and EPL. So these are like the top tournaments that happened. Um, what is actually what are the expectations if these results are going to be a roster change? I don't think it's result based. I think it has to be something that simply the team did not enjoy playing with Nealon or like his way
Why did
of
Nealon
calling.
leave? Do we know? Do we know why Nealon
I
left?
mean,
Or was he
they
kicked? What
basically
happened?
he was kicked for sure because
Yeah.
even the way that they presented it was like sometimes things don't work out, and it's like it very clearly pointed to just clash of visions for how the team's supposed to be run, like in game leadership not quite fitting in with the players, that sort of a thing, where it just it didn't fit.
Okay. That's interesting because like Nealon was in an interesting predicament for a moment there, right? When EG with the conversations about automatic Nealon, maybe was it Zorti coming in? Yeah, there was all these mentions of this kind of European mix of EG coming together, and then Nealon got got left with the shit end of the dick. Got himself over there onto old mate GamerLegion. It looked okay, as mentioned. It was like, yeah, okay, well this is all right. We had low expectations for fucking GamerLegion anyway, right? We were all thought that they were overrated for their position. So we're I'm not overwhelmed or not underwhelmed. I'm just interested. Snax. Why is Snax the?
Yeah.
I mean,
What-
there's a Bogdan connection because Bogdan is just I don't know how recently, but he became the I think assistant coach or analyst for Game Legion at some point, and he's the guy who played with Snax in Let Us Cook, and he was with him before in
Anonymous, maybe?
Oh,
yeah, I
he's
think
that
so.
big bloke, is he? Yes, he is. He's
Yeah,
bloody
I think
huge.
it was an Anonymous. It was one of these Polish teams that Snax was playing in that time, like after Virtus Pro. I don't remember if it was an Anonymous, but I think so. So there's that connection, and I'm sure that's where kind of the idea came from, and that's why GamerLegion came out after him. Because I even spoke to Snax. I have an interview kind of in the back that I still have to process. That will come out sometime in the next couple of days. And I mean, it actually kind of sold me, because I wasn't necessarily thinking too much about it. Probably like you two guys, just because like, okay, why is Snax coming out of the woodwork now? Like he has been playing with this Pompa team that is like kind of half international, like half Polish a little bit. Just nothing really made sense to me. But it actually kind of from talking to him, it feels like he has a pretty clear vision of like what a team needs to have in terms of protocols and all that stuff. Like he obviously has a lot of tier one experience, and even though he didn't necessarily in game lead a lot of the time, he still has a lot of that experience from the Virtus Pro times. And he has been in game leading this international roster for the past about a year, since he put together this like mix of let Let Us Cook, not Let Her Cook. That's a women's team that is now apparently about 3/5 destroyed.
And also in GamerLegion.
Yeah,
Yes,
also
actually, yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Also, that's full circle, man. That's true.
It's all connected.
I don't know. From what he was telling me, like I hope people go into to read that interview once it's out, because he was talking about how he denied several offers from like fairly big top teams to in-game lead before, you know, this whole experience he had with Let Us Cook and Pompa, because he didn't feel confident in himself to in-game lead in English, because he had only done it in Polish until, you know, this latest experience that he's had for the past, I don't know what it is, like 9 months or
Mm.
something, about since the start of the year. And so he denied some big opportunities, you know, even though that would have been kind of an obvious choice for a lot of people. Like, fuck yeah, like let's play for a top team, you know, especially if you're Snax, who hasn't been in the top scene for a while, apart from that end stint. But basically, like after that, you know, end stand instant that he had, and he had that opportunity to even join Ends, you know, a few months later when they were looking for a replacement for Spinks, it ended up being Valde, you know, but he was like in that final like short list of players that Ends were looking at to replace Spinks. And from that, he got kind of like some of these offers and denied them just because he didn't feel confident in himself. Like he literally told them, okay, I just don't feel like I am fit to do this at the moment. But a year later, now that he's had this experience, has had a little bit more playtime in English, in an English speaking roster, even in game leading in English, he now feels more confident about doing it in a top team, or at least the team that is going to be playing at the tier 1 for some time now, because they have the ranking to do so.
Okay, a lot of that's interesting. Like, I think the fact is, to be able to in-game lead in English is not an easy feat for people who don't speak English as a native language. It's fucking a difficult job. You have to do a lot of talking. There's the majority of what you do is talking. You know, there is definitely some parts where you shoot people. Another large portion of it is dropping guns. But a big point is like talking to your teammate, trying to obviously communicating concepts and ideas of how you want to approach the game. So I could definitely see why that would have slowed him down. But it is just interesting to think, because Snax is one. Maybe it is the perfect time. Right, for someone who's an old legend of the game. Snax isn't even that old though, is he? How old is Snax?
He's 30 now.
Bloody
He's
hell!
fairly
Okay,
old.
never mind. But as a legend from early CS:GO, right? Somebody who made a mark early on.
He came into this Golden 5 team as like this young gun, you know. But that's 9 years ago now. So I mean, 10 years ago now, actually. Since he joined the Pajatas and Neo, you know. So like that's. Like,
But that
he
makes
was
sense,
20,
though,
man.
right? Isn't the general consensus for players as they get into their 30s plus the way that these players who maybe were once fraggers can maintain positions in professional teams is through all of their experiences in game leaders, right? Isn't it that? But this isn't someone who's even really, like, I want to say proven as an in-game leader. I'm sure he maybe has done, you know, bits and bobs of it before, but we're talking about over long fields of time or bringing a team up. Because for GamerLegion, it's not like the story gets any easier. Like, even when Snack, like, so they had Neil and we thought, yeah, this is all right. Well, they're now ranked 12th in the world. So they've dropped 3 places after the rankings got updated for HLTV yesterday. And I assume that they're going to continue a bit of a free fall, right? Because it's not, I don't see exact immediate results. What impressed me, however, I will say with GamerLegion was maybe a bit more of Isaac's output, right? When I was, okay, yeah, Isaac's, you know, he's got a bit more space. Emma's not here. Isaac's having a bit more output, right? But I still don't know if there's enough pieces in this team for it to be good.
I mean, who knows at this point anyway, right? Like, you're going into CS2.
Yeah,
so it's like some of these young guns, you know, like some of them might not fit, some of them might fit, you know, it's still all to be seen, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, ultimately, they did lose their 2 best players, who someone actually wrote in chat that they were both in the grand final of EPL. So, you know, what can you actually expect, right? You need to find some upgrades. I don't think they really found them. So it's left to be seen.
All right. Well, we'll see what comes next for GamerLegion, but that's fantastic. And we call that in the business a segue. So we'll segue over to talking to MOUZ and we'll give them their flowers. Over the weekend, ESL Pro League Season 18, they won the playoffs. It was quite an impressive run from them. I think the teams that they run through in the bracket, that gauntlet style, where they came into the group, they came into the bracket as a 3rd seed team from the group stage. And then they had to beat, you know, some of the absolute best teams in the world to be able to do it, right? FaZe, G2 in that run. Furia was their opening match, obviously ENCE as well. And then getting it done in the grand final against Na'Vi. So the teams that they beat on that run are, you know, hey, I'll be honest. I'll be the first person to say I wasn't necessarily sold in the beginning on the academy player hype, and it's definitely taken some time. There was all the hype around the academy guys in the beginning. Xertion's one of the later imports. I think he's one of the ones who I'm more impressed with. And then when I remember he's only fucking 19, I think that's insane. This kid, the way he speaks about Counter-Strike, the way he presents himself, I think it's amazing. He's very mature.
And it was already that case, like when he was in NXT 2 years ago, and like we were only starting to learn of these guys, you know, even with Shuhei and JDC, like all these guys are just like they sound like well beyond their years.
Yeah. That's one of the keys, I think, of the team is like how mature they seem to operate, right? I think Shuey and Frozen are probably the two in the team. And I'm not calling them immature, but they're like they seem like they got the bit of the bro culture going on between the two of them and whatnot, right? So it is a team that carries themselves well above their years. What is their average age of about 20?
I think actually 20, yeah.
Yeah, seeing Jimmy as well. I can't get enough of Jimmy, mate. I'm watching Jimmy just sit in a position where, you know, he probably shouldn't get any, grabbing a couple 3Ks, ruining rounds for everybody. And he's just another one of these Finns. He's just cool, calm, collected. I like the way that Exertion explained, like, oh, yeah, you know, he has demons sometime, and then put a video out on his Twitter, you know. But this is the thing that it slaps me in the face every time, because I go, yeah, 17-year-old. And then I go, oh, shit. Like, that is like double that guy, his age. That's me, right? And then I go, okay, well, put myself back there when I was 17. Yeah, I was, you know, I definitely wasn't a mature 17-year-old. Like, I was focused on Counter-Strike, but to see these guys competing this high-level puzzle solving, it is also wild as well. I'm kind of everywhere right now, but the fact that Sergey's brother, you get two like elite level Counter-Strike puzzle solvers at different points of the game from the same family. That's pretty sick. How often does that happen?
I mean, that's why he is also so good at 17. Not necessarily because this was his brother, but he was surrounded by Counter-Strike for the last 5-6 years, and your brain just like, you know, you can mold the young mind quicker, and they pick up on things that they don't need to really think about. They just know what to do, right?
Second nature.
So that's kind of how it works. And like when he did come into the team, like his first tournament, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't that impressive, right? And he also needed to kind of adapt his roles. He was like originally playing what he plays now, and then he got some star roles in MOUZ NXT, and then he was like farming in the Academy League and these like lower tier stuff. But then, you know, going up a scale and going back into like weaker roles essentially took him a bit to adapt, but now he's looking pretty sick.
Yeah, he's really sharp. I think mechanically he's one of the most exciting things to watch about him, right? Like, obviously, even though his decision making, it's calm, because that seems to be the nature of the type of guy he is. So it factors in very well to the roles and positions he's playing within the team. Yeah, Frozen continuing to do what Frozen does, and Shuey, I think, for a young in-game leader, watching the way that, you know, they're not just approaching the game in one style, right? They're able to play a whole bunch of different styles. It feels like there is a bit of in-your-face nature about it, right? They would talk that Ents game. Get drawn into a lot of the fights. I love that from Exertion when we had him on the couch, or when he was on the couch talking about, yeah, I said I was going to rush with them, right? And I told Shuey that we're going to rush with them. So when all these top hits were coming in on Nuke, they were part of the chaos. So he's fucking diving down the bit. That was a really interesting head-to-head between the entire first half between Exertion and Nerds. I actually put it was so cool to see that, because I was really just watching those two go at it and seeing, and every time like Nerds died, you saw him fucking like take a sigh or roll his eyes or whatever, like, fuck, I should have known. You know, played with this guy enough. I fucking should have known. But yeah, it was lots of fun Counter-Strike. And that's probably one of the biggest takeaways is MOUZ played some Counter-Strike that was fun to watch. And I enjoyed it.
Unlike your hate on them before, when your mate Dexter was IGLing.
Well, they were very default heavy. I think you should probably, when the team just starts, you should probably be very default heavy. But wasn't half the thing early with Dexter, like they said to him, like when Torji and everyone in JDC and stuff with it, maybe no, before JDC, I don't remember, but they said to Dexter, oh, we need to do more of this stuff, right? Like they wanted to change the approach that Dexter had, where I don't know what to go over there in the MOUZ camp is, right? You got Cycron, who's been with 3 of these guys for, well, he's been with 4 of them now for quite an extended period of time over different points of the career, and then Jimmy being the new boy. But yeah, I think it's quite a nice way to end the last CSGO event with some faces of the future of Counter-Strike winning the event.
Yeah, for sure. Like, not necessarily this team going to on and dominate CS2. I'm not sold on that being 100% or anything near that. But out of these 5 players, 1 or 2 will be, you know, the faces of CS2. Yeah. That is for sure. Like, there's no reason why Frozen, for example, wouldn't be like, he's in the prime position to have a amazing CS2 career, but also Shui as an IGL
Yeah, we could be talking about
He-
him in 10 years as the
Yeah.
next like Carrigan or
Kerrigan,
something like that.
exactly. Like he has the everything needed to do that, and they're in a pretty good team. They're not like this richest org or anything, but they do decent scouting and they do good transfers, and they don't really hesitate to make changes when they need to. They're not
That's
like
true.
too
Yeah.
loyal to a fault as some of the other orgs are. They know what they're here to do, and that's like find the best players they can and use them for the peak of their careers if they can, until like a super big offer comes in, like it did come for Rops or whatever. Maybe not that much in the buyout, but at some point someone's going to leave and go to another place. So yeah, I think definitely when we look at that picture of them lifting the trophy in like 5 to 10 years, when they're looking back at the transition, there's certainly going to be one of them. Exertion as well. Like he has, I think, everything you need from a player to be like a top player
I feel
in
like
the
he
future.
could. I feel like he could in-game lead. Like that. That's the type of like way that he talks about Counter-Strike and the
Yeah.
positions he plays. Like if if they were going to build an Israeli team, fucking whack Exertion. Obviously, Exertion would be one of the four. We know who the four would be. It's the fifth we're a little bit quizzical about. But if they want to go farm the stickers in the Asian RMRs, they could quite easily just make an Israeli team and just head down there and just live the life. Just constantly just absolutely destroying the region. But yeah, I just want to make sure we gave MOUZ their flowers, because there is a lot of talk about a lot of things at the moment, and that has overshadowed the end of CSGO is the start of CS2, which, that's just kind of the way things go. But in terms of the high level puzzle solving of Counter-Strike that we're at right now, right, we have so many players who are very good, like individually, like or mechanically, and who all understand like maybe there's different framing on these moves, right, of what they're called or how we're going to approach these scenarios, different philosophies, all of this. But everybody has a very good grasp at the moment, I would say, out of like the top teams of how to make those moves and when they're necessary. Like it's not just one style of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is very fluid at the moment. It's very info based. It's very moving around, and it's cool to see because it puts the individuals on display with how quick they are to the head and how quick they are to making the decision in the head. And that's something that I think has been fun to watch in the later stages of CSGO, and something I think that we will probably lose in the infancy of CS2 while everyone has to relearn a lot of these basic things. Because I don't want to get into the CS2 conversation just yet, but I remember when Dust 2 came back into the map pool and I was watching teams start playing it again, and people just forgot how to do the standard like 3 long control, leave one guy pit, one guy mid long with an AWP, and one guy playing rotator. Like we were just playing like short setups and shit. I was like, what are we doing?
Right.
Playing 1.6 where the tall box was still there and you could actually hold cat. Did everyone forget how Dust 2 works? It's the same map. But anyway, I digress. Anyone else want to say something nice about MOUZ or EPL before we want to talk more about EPL?
I mean,
No.
I just wanted to say that, like, I think, like, now people will obviously say, kind of like with this transition to CS2, it doesn't really matter that they won EPL, but obviously, like in its own right, it matters just because of the run that they had. Like if you compare it to, like, let's say Navi, obviously they had kind of an easy route, apart from beating FaZe in the group stage, basically for that first place, but that was already at a point where they were in the playoffs. So, like, not that it was such a big like high pressure situation. But for MOUZ, I mean, if you just look at their run, they beat Heroic in the groups, then they beat FaZe, G2, and Navi. And what's more, that they never looked like they would lose the series to any of them. They had a couple of close maps at the beginning, but they won the first one, lost the second one, and then destroyed the third against both G2 and ENCE. Like it was just a confident run against 3 out of the top 5 teams plus a Navi that has been looking improved. So 4 out of the top 5 even, because Heroic is in that mix as well. So
and
I
all
think
their players played well. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 guys. It was everybody on the team playing well.
Yeah.
So I think that's even requires more props. And like this is the thing. It makes looking at stats from the playoffs, it's very skewed because if you filter just for the playoffs, then okay, but not every team played the same amount of playoff games.
Yeah,
so then,
that was hard.
It's like,
I mean,
for
I
fuck's
don't
sake.
know. Did you see the best 5 piece from Harry?
Yeah, it's almost the whole team, right?
That's exactly it, And there was even a big conversation between me and him about like if it should be Zantares or if it should be Xerxen, because I mean Xerxen had like 122 or 124 even in playoffs, something like that, and just pretty consistent. But Zantares just had the peaks, he just was the difference maker for a ton of fire. So that's why he ended up being the 5th, the opener. But there was a legitimate case for MOUZ to have just the 5 best players at the tournament, because the IGL one is a bit subjective, because it's more, that one is not about the output individually, but more about kind of the eye test and whether, just the eye test about like the calls that they made throughout the group stage, throughout the playoffs. Obviously, it's hard to back that up. Sometimes it's like other players to make that call, but these awards are supposed to be something other than the MVP. You know, we already have the MVP for and the EVPs for those purposes, you know, to reward the best players at the tournament from like a statistical standpoint. But then we have these like best 5 awards that, you know, have some, like, obviously a lot of statistical background for the 4 positions, but then there's also some subjective way that we determine the IGL, because, you know, those people should also get some shine time, like time in the spotlight, you know, because they don't always do.
Sure. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's also hard to levy like all the praise when necessary and stuff. The same even when we're like looking at a game and people just go and look at the stats instead of, oh yeah, this guy set them up, or this guy had an impactful 1-on-2 that forced them to be. Yeah. I want to make. I thought I was done with EPL, but I want to make a couple of things clear. I think that the format definitely needs an overhaul. This is almost inherently the issue I have with all ESL formats is playoff stages where people don't start in the same stage. I'm fucking over that. And then the other is, well, the groups
that don't really matter.
Yes, but I also think like there are a couple of different ways that. So now that it's not going to be a partner event anymore, come 2025, right? Because all of that we're assuming.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
But that's not next year.
No, I know it's not next year, but it would be great if we could try and make some positive change, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Prof?
But
Wouldn't
it's not going to happen because there are deals in place, right? Because that already lock ESL Pro League into what the situation is at the moment.
Let's just. But the thing is, at the moment, like how many matches were these guys getting? Right, the least amount of matches they were getting was 3.
Yep.
So if we could just repackage that in something that's a little bit more entertaining of a format, which I think it's possible. You just have to incentivize it in different ways. You just have to look at different features of it and try and incentivize it in different ways. It's like I'm going to try and come up with an idea or two before the next season, see if we can pitch it through. And
yes,
the other, yes, bro.
Yeah, you don't have your preview in your monitor.
I have to look over here. I can't really see it.
I was raising my hand for.
Sorry, what's going on?
It should be Swiss. It should be
Swiss?
groups. Should be 2 groups, Swiss, 16 teams each, because next season they're doing like
3 weeks,
1 week. 2 groups,
yeah.
But that can just be 1 group of 16, and then you eliminate all of the stupid shit that's happening with like pointless games. Easy. It just makes so much sense. And then 16 team single elimination playoff. So simple. Simple.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious as well. Before I get there, the other one I just want a quick shout out because we never usually say too many positive things about this team. But shout out to Eternal Fire. Wakati is fucking sick.
That's true.
Yeah. So shout out to them.
I was so happy to see them do well.
For Madge's sake.
Yeah, for sure.
It's always just for Madge's sake.
His career is so much shit. So much shit.
History.
So much shit. And like at the end of the day, he was always, I don't think he was ever the problem. You could always see that he's like trying to do the best with the pieces that he has. I'm not saying he's the best IGL that ever existed, but like you could see it at EPL as well. Like, yeah, they had some like sharp shooters, but they're also out calling some teams like Liquid and stuff. They're just better.
And he has good ideas. They're not always just like, it's not just like like there's good ideas. Yeah, it's nice to watch.
I mean, just for someone that's been around since 1.6 and then grinded there, and of course you weren't fuck all for being fairly relevant, you know, for being a top 20, top 30 team in 1.6, you were nothing essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
While in some teams in the CSGO era, if they peaked at the right time, like I don't want to bag on EG, but EG, for example, like you can earn a shit ton of money while being top 20, top 30, not doing anything relevant. And this guy was like, even when he was in Space Soldiers and made the major, they were earning fuck all. So I'm not saying that he's earned so much from this, but at least he had some, you know, some achievement at the end of CSGO that is relevant, and that's cool.
And he can still have his games where he fragged, which is fun too.
Yeah.
Okay, just a quick one. This isn't on the docket for the recent news, but this has just come out. ESL have announced the groups for IEM Sydney, which is going to be the first CS2 LAN event. I'll just read them out quite quickly. Vitality, BetBoom, GamerLegion, FaZe Clan, Na'Vi, Apeks, Vertex, and MOUZ Sports. And in Group B, Enslin, Vision, Fnatic, C9, Monty, Complexity, Greyhound, and G2.
Who ordered these teams in that post, man? Like when you put G2 all the way at the end of Group B just because it's like based on the bracket.
Yeah, I think that's what they...
I
wait, but then it doesn't make sense. Why is Complexity there and not next to Fnatic?
Boo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Boom in 2 different groups. Boo.
Oh, yeah, true.
You wanted the head-to-head, huh?
Of course.
You wanted to see all that
Maybe
action.
it'll
Well,
happen.
maybe it could still happen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Probably not, but maybe.
No, it won't.
With the way Cloud9 is playing, probably not. But the biggest one here, the thing I wanted to point out with this is best of ones are still the open. Now, Prof, you and I had a little bit of a conversation before it went live about this. Now, I personally... right? I'll let you finish, but I personally don't want any best of ones in MR12. However, I will say, until we have a lot of data on how professional games are going to play and their time span, and with the fact it's a new quote unquote game with some new quote unquote issues regarding servers and bots and all this stuff, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think ideally you'd want to eliminate BO1s completely, and I think it is going to happen eventually. But you have to take into account like it's kind of a limited time frame, and you have a schedule that you know that works. And even though MR12 is going to be shorter, you don't know how much shorter, and I'm really scared for technical issues. I think that is going to be
Which
a lot
is a
of that.
reasonable concern.
I think there's going to be a lot of that, and not just because of PCs, but PCs are one thing, but also like all of the backup
Like server stuff. Yeah.
that we have that I guess is going to work, but like isn't tested as deeply as
Kind of being
all-
tested right now, isn't it? Like with
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
qualifiers that are on right
I
now.
mean,
that people are
ESL
playing.
are good at ESL are good at preparing for these situations, and I mean, I've been talking to some of them, and they said that this has been already they already started testing this out before CS2 even launched. To be able to make sure that their tools that they have currently are still working with CS2 or repurposing them for CS2 and all that stuff. They have the people, they have the best people to make this happen. Basically, I mean, hopefully they will be in a place where by Sydney in 2 weeks' time they will have all that figured out. But we don't know. Like maybe an update is going to drop in a week
And it could
or in
fuck
10 days that everything
everything.
gets fucked.
Yeah.
Like all of these like match medic things that are getting basically destroyed with every update for whatever reason. So that could still happen in like an update that hits whatever 3 days before Sydney. I think that's a Friday, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Like one of the week before Sydney, a couple of updates drop, and suddenly everything has to get repurposed, recoded, possibly, just because of some changes. So I'm hoping that Valve are going to be kind enough to Sydney and just take that into consideration and make sure that they are in contact with ESL, not to fuck up the first big line that we have in the new game.
Yeah. Well, I want to return to the discussion about this, but we do have a whole CS2 section of tonight's show. So I don't want to linger on this too long. I want us to kind of fly through this. We can get into that conversation at our leisure later. Okay, TYLOO, they picked up 5clone or Cyclone. So there were rumors about this. There was tweets about it. I think the way that they got found out officially was someone took a picture of them at a fucking breakfast buffet or something at a hotel in the jerseys, which I thought was pretty funny. But I think it's great for them to actually have a Chinese team, right? As opposed to this like international weird mix that they were going down. But we have heard things about, maybe, TYLOO being contract jail or difficult for people to get out of. So sure, they needed an org to go to. And I think it's good that they found a home, and they're looking like one of the most promising teams from China at the moment, along with Lin Vision. Lin Vision was really exciting to watch. Anyway, but again, I don't want to fucking digress anymore. But is there anything else about this TYLOO news that should excite us here?
At least it's not international. That's all I want. All I want is to stop these like weird international Asian teams that make no fucking sense. Yeah, that's good. I have a question for the viewers. Should we, just this whole idea of the breakfast photo? Are we gonna get paparazzis in Counter-Strike? Are we gonna have photographers waiting outside of Astralis' office to see if Cadian is walking in? That's it. Do we need this? Leave your comments below.
Okay, guys. Prof has asked a call to action. This is a call to action. Use your social media platforms as well as Twitch chat right now to let Prof know. Would you like to become a member of HLTV's paparazzi crew? I don't know if you get paid for it. Maybe Prof will email you a magnet or a badge if you take a photo of any teams in jerseys. Is it exclusively at breakfast buffets? Where are we drawing the line, Prof?
We can do like offices and stuff like that. Not homes. Not
well,
homes.
you obviously can't break and enter or anything, guys. You got to keep this by the traditional rules.
Just chilling outside,
Just chilling outside.
Just chilling.
Okay. It's getting creepy. No, this is not the type of behavior that we want anybody getting up to. All right. But if you do see people in the wild,
it's kind of 50-50 in chat right now. I'm just saying. I'm not saying anything should be done. I'm just curious of what people think. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, that that'll be HLTV at tmz.gg. Send them an email if you're interested to get involved with the paparazzi.
We actually sent some people to your house, Chad, but they said you didn't go out for 7 days, so we didn't get anything.
Probably pretty accurate. Yeah, so maybe they occasionally see me just waving from the balcony, watering my 6 plants, just making sure they're still alive.
Yeah, he didn't even take out the trash this week.
Actually true. We've been there a few times before. Okay, we have. Are we gonna do Skinionaire?
I guess so. Yeah, let's get it out of the way and go into the rumor stuff.
Okay, let's jump into Skinionaire. Sorry, Dimitri. I maybe should give you a bit of a warning about this one.
I
But
think I'm doing it this week.
the questions are for you.
Yeah,
Who are they written by?
Dimitri.
Dimitri wrote the questions. Dimitri, is there a theme to these questions?
There is a theme. It's
Okay.
memes.
Memes.
Oh,
Theme is
damn.
meme.
This is right up Prof Sally because he usually follows the worker.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Well, we're doing Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to you by Trader.gg. You'll have to type Trader in chat right now if you'd
Can I
like
get
to.
the link because we don't have the preview.
Yeah, I can get you the link. 1 second, man. Yeah, it goes type Trader.gg in chat right now for your chance to enter the draw. We have 5 tiers of skins. Each question that Prof gets correct, multiple choice, will move it up a tier level. The winner of the, I suppose it's a raffle. I guess that's what this would be defined as. The winner of the raffle will be earning themselves a $50 voucher, I believe, to use at trader.gg at their own, I was going to say peril, but it's not at all. Because I used leisure before and I didn't want to say leisure again. And then I was thinking pirates because you guys said I'm a lumberjack pirate. So we went with peril. No, but not at your peril. There'll be no peril. There'll be potentially $50.
Apparel. You can get the
Ah.
shirt that Striker is wearing right now. The link in the bottom of HLTV. There you go.
Oh, all right. Okay, Dimitri, are we ready and raring to go with question numero uno? Question number 1.
Okay.
He is the North American player, but in Titan, he's the French stars. Who is this about?
This is too easy. AZK, obviously.
One of the greatest copy pastors of all time. He is the North American player, but in Titan, he's the French stars.
I think
correct.
the origin of this was like he is French Canadian, so he could go to play with Titan. That's kind of the idea behind
I think
this.
so, yeah.
Bit
It's kinda
disappointing
cool.
that didn't happen. What a blockbuster move that would have been.
Mhm.
Right, let's get on to question number 2. Is this happens with us because we are from Bulgaria? Quote was said by Spy Leader in regard to Dreamers ban, player contract dispute, or Wendigo WESG prizes.
No, definitely not Wendigo WSG prize. This was years after. I don't think it's I think it has to be Dreamers ban because they were kind of protesting it at the time. I don't think it was successful, so I'm pretty sure it's Dreamers ban, and I'm going to go for that.
Fucking A, Dreamers ban. Correct answer is ding, 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 ding. A, 2 out of 2. Prof is going
A
to
bit under pressure there. I was a bit under pressure.
That was the hardest one, I think.
Okay, well, so far flying through this one. Question number 3. Player can be good, but not best. Who's best?
There's only one,
You
and
best.
he's also VAC banned. Check HLTV.
Okay, Forrest is pregnant.
Oh,
Got
yeah.
Another one.
Forrest in jail.
Forest thieves.
All right. Well, that's 3 out of 3. Prof's really keeping up on his forums. He doesn't use
Let's
sports
go,
mode.
Let's
He
go.
doesn't car. All right. Question number 4. 4 numbers are good. Which org publicly fired their social media manager person for posting "Prove It" or meme? Was it Imperial, Immortals, or Luminosity?
Bro, wait.
This is easy, bro. Come on.
Bro, it has to be Immortals. It was the Portillo guy. I think. It has to be Immortals. Has to be Immortals.
Locking in B,
And then he went to
Immortals.
Cloud9.
Correct answer is
Okay.
Immortals.
I don't remember him being in Immortals. Like, yeah.
But it was about the more like he was fired because it was the Immortals team.
now,
Right?
now that I think about it, this makes a lot of sense.
Doesn't it?
It does make a lot of sense
Yes.
that he would be fired because he was in that team. If he was on
Yeah.
any other team,
It would have been
Nobody
okay.
would care. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, question number 5. And if you want to enter the draw again for this raffle, type trade it in chat right now. You're going to need a Twitch account. Type it in chat. I'll give you a couple more seconds to do it before we bring up question number 5. Type it, spam it. If you enter it 3 times, it only counts for 1, but do it because we like spamming things in Twitch chat. Yeah. All right, question number 5. 2015, this Finnish player was accused of dodging lands while having a 1.12 rating in 247 maps played online. Who was it? Was it Juho, Yols, or Zen?
Joel's
Yeah, can't get this
obviously.
one wrong. This is the easiest quiz of all time.
Obviously, the famous meatball recipe by
Correct.
Joel's.
Correct. That's 5 from 5, Prof. Congratulations. Your meme knowledge is up to scratch. You've absolutely fucking smashed it. The crowd, they're on their feet. The people are home. There's jubilation around the world. They're waiting for the draw. Everyone's sitting there holding their raffle ticket going, Prof, please let it be me. Let it be me. I want the $50 voucher from Trader GG. And Dimitri, our winner is Volsgaard. That is Volsgaard. Volsgaard, congratulations. You are the winner of tonight's Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire. You can thank Prof. You can send him love on Twitter. You don't have to do that at all, but our people will reach out to your people. Prof, do you have anything you want to say to Volsgaard?
No, enjoy it. That's it.
Brilliant. All right. Well, I hope everyone at home enjoyed that. That was Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire. And we're going to keep the show moving and grooving and shaking. Everybody. I think that's S Club, maybe. I'm not too sure. Okay, we're going to move into talking about some of these roster situations. Now, a few of them have been confirmed as of recently. The Zonic one's the big one. Let's start with the Liquid one. Now, this little document that you had, Dimitri, whip up. Are we going to use this? Do we want to use this? Do you want to explain the concept, Prof?
Yeah, I mean, this is a concept. I think it makes a lot of sense. We are gonna obviously it doesn't make a lot of sense for some of them because they've been confirmed in the meantime. But essentially, I think there's a lot of these rumors that go out, and they're not really, if
They're
it's
not
not
based in
really
anything.
confirmed, and there's only like some like outs, call them leakers, putting them out. It's not the same level of authority that like an outlet putting it out. So now we can use that to be like playful and figure out what we think. Is there something to it or not? So essentially it's the for real rating, and it's obviously from 0 to 8. So 8 means this is real, 0 means bad bait, not gonna happen, essentially. And then we can play between that.
Well, we can start with the Liquid one. The Liquid one's great. I would like to submit myself for an 8. Thank you, Prof, if I could.
Yes.
That would be a great one because the rumor is, and the rumor that is now confirmed, is that Daps. Oh, sorry. We'll start with the initial bit. Is Rainwaker to be benched, and Daps is going to be standing in for the Showdown, which is going to be played online. They're playing in the North American Showdown, which I guess is the rest of the world because it was meant to have the Mongols. That won't be happening. They've been replaced. Who replaced them? Was it
Party Astronauts?
Okay. So the 8 teams at that event, just quickly, so may as well tell everybody because it starts tomorrow. Complexity, Liquid, Fury, Imperial, Evil Geniuses, Forsaken, Legacy, which is Cold Zero's team, and Party Astronauts. They're still going to be playing on CSGO. Best of 3, single elimination bracket. Only the top team will make it through to the full finals in Copenhagen, the Royal Arena, later this year, which I believe will be played on CS2. But yeah, that's another point of contention, is about which game it's going to be played on, but we can hold there. So this one is confirmed. We're all going to give it 8 out of 8. Now, when Rainwaker was picked up, we kind of spoke about him being, I don't want to use this term about a human being, but disposable, right? Like, it was like, well, he's not that expensive. If they want to get rid of him, it doesn't work out with CS2. It probably didn't cost them a lot. They probably didn't pay him that much salary.
Right.
It's all good.
It was a low risk thing, right?
Yeah. So now he's gone already. So they didn't even really wait for CS2. They went, well, this isn't working out in CSGO. I don't want to fucking try this in CS2. They just they got rid of him. So why is Lucas? What are you spamming shit in? Lucas, man, you're not even producing the show, man. Come on, man. Come on, Lucas, man. We're trying to.
He still wants to be a part of the conversation.
I guess he does. So what do we think about this situation as a whole? Do we think that Rainwaker had his chance and he failed? Do we think it was decent enough and maybe it's something else outside of the game? What do we know, or what do we think? Because normally they're not the same thing.
You know what? The more important part, maybe not the more important part of this, but the telling part of this is that Daps is supposed to be in game leading now, which is, I think, also like a key change. I don't know if this has been confirmed, but that's the assumption, and I think that was also in the report. I'm not 100% sure if they actually spoke about this.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Yakinda doesn't want to in-game lead anymore.
I don't know if he doesn't want to, but it
wouldn't make any sense him in-game leading with Daps in the team, would it?
Of course, yeah. I mean, that makes sense for sure. But the point is, like, would it have been better to just like pick up like some random kid that they wanna just put in the team, with Yakinda still in game leading, that would probably be a better option than just putting in Daps if they're happy enough with Yakinda in game leading, that's my point. Like, you can give a chance to some random guy, in a showdown, even if, maybe you will give up some sort of a chance to go to the full final, but this is the time to experiment if you want. It's not like you are putting Daps into the team just as like a stand-in player if you don't have some sort of a longer term plan in mind. I feel like that is the telling part of this. Not only just that they are not happy with Rainwaker, but that potentially it could mean also that they're not happy with Yakinda in game leading, and that's just not going the way that they expected. And that's why they're doing this, instead of putting some young guy in or another player maybe that's more experienced and proven.
Oh my god!
What?
I I've cracked it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I've worked it out. We've all known for years that Daps and Stanislaw are arch enemies, right? He's literally they're one another's nemesis. We've known this for years. We've seen it play out time and time and time again over different iterations of different North American
Daps
rosters.
obviously said the words, "He is my archenemy."
He said it. He said it live on air, confirmed.
To be fair, okay. To be fair,
Wait, did this happen or are you
yeah,
trolling?
no, he actually said this, but it was more like he got baited into it.
Oh, he got
make
baited
this-
into it.
He was like, because he said like it was actually never Stanislaw that wanted to kick him because obviously he was the one coming in. It was the other teammates, probably Tarek, by the way,
Yeah.
who wanted him out. So he was saying it was like other teammates. So I don't really hate. He's not my arch nemesis. And then he got baited into saying he is his arch nemesis.
But here's what I want everyone to keep in mind, and this is how we know that it's true, because Daps saw the draw. He knew that they were going up against Forsaken, which is, of course, Stanislaw's team in the Blast Premier Fall Showdown 2023.
Just imagine them losing to Forsaken and then bringing
Picking
in
up
Stanislaw.
Oh my God. So if Daps cannot lose. If Daps loses, he has to give Liquid
Like so much
over to
pressure,
Stan.
man.
But you actually missed the actual point. This is not like, oh my God, Daps has to play. This is Daps wants to play.
Yes.
That's why Rainwaker was removed. This is Daps because it even says he's still a part of the team. It says Rainwaker is still a part of the team. Daps wants this game and this game only to destroy Stanislav once and for all.
This is insane. I don't think I've ever seen a coup anything like this. This is actually what a takeover from Daps. Got himself back, went to Valorant as well, just to make it feel like he was, he was done. Just to make it think, and he's come back and done
I think
this.
that's
Daps,
like
you sly dog, you absolute mastermind.
In Dragon Ball, when they go to that small planet to walk and train, that was
the
him.
hyperbolic time chamber.
That was him going to Valorant because he knew this is so much mental pressure on his brain and on his body that when he got back to Counter-Strike, he was released.
Yeah, the weights were taken off. He was unleashed again. This is insane. I can't believe we cracked this. This is absolute. Well, good job, guys. All right, that'll be the end of the pod. Okay. Should we stop talking about Liquid, or should we talk more about Liquid? Because look, the future of Liquid, if they're not, Rainwaker's done, which let's assume he is, and Dabs is temporary, but Yakinda doesn't go back to in-game leading, then it kind of narrows down the field of people that Liquid will be looking at, right? Like that'll definitely give us a conversation starter for where they turn next. And then going into a new game,
this could also be just a test period, to see if this could be something that would work out in the long term. Who knows? Maybe Yakinda will go back to in-game leading, but I think it does say something that's this is the solution that they went for first.
Well, think about it this way. Daps jump spotting B on Mirage. That's fine. He can drop a smoke, probably get a kill. Seriously, he can do that. I believe Daps can do, Daps can do more than that, right? I'm not talking shit, but if you think about that, he can do that. You got Patsy and Yakinda as your aggressive riflers who both love getting stuck in. You can either use one more as a taking space early and then lurking late, or you can use one and the other one is more a pack roll. He's setting up with flashes and shit. You've got OC who seems to be hitting his stride more and more, which is, that's good news. And then Naf, he can get back some of his old anchor positions, anchor roles in the team, and then he can go back to doing that, which he was one of the absolute best players in the world at doing.
And obviously, there's such a big peakers advantage at CS2 that Patsy and Yakinda will be the two best players in the world because they don't do anything else.
One that go at W.
Yeah. So obviously, Daps can do whatever he wants because he's already going to have the two best pieces on his roster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And before we were talking, someone said it in chat. Liquid Nealon. Anything's possible. Anything's possible now.
I don't think this whole Nealon situation, like the whole GamerLegion situation, doesn't really bode well for Nealon. I mean, he was an EG and
Oh, you'd think
it's not like people can blame him, because EG was already shit before that. But it's not like his track record currently is enough, for an organization like Liquid to go, oh, what about this guy?
Okay. All right, fair enough. Well, do we have any more we want to talk about Liquid, or should we get into some of the juicier goss?
Let's go into juice.
Let's go.
Juice.
All right, let's move into the other one that we know is 8 out of 8. This is Zonic to Falcons. The residual news that comes off of this will be quite interesting, but this one here is obviously a big topic. As I mentioned, Mira, he put out an article earlier today, which appears to be an exclusive interview regarding the future of Zonic and Lars. And Lars is back there in the Astralis days. He moved over to Vitality alongside of Zonic, so they're somewhat of a package deal, the performance coach. So long story short, and let me know if I'm paraphrasing it. Well, I am paraphrasing. But essentially, Zonic's contract was almost up. Renegotiations. Vitality offered him less money. then supposedly
He
Falcons got
didn't
wind of
actually
this.
confirm. He didn't actually confirm this in the interview, but there was a report on the side that, and I've heard the same thing. To believe that that was actually the case, that he was being undervalued in the renegotiations, and basically that's what triggered him exploring other options.
Okay, this move comes after a Dusty K report that Zonic had been asked to take a pay cut and Vitality in renegotiations for his contract, which was set to expire at the end of 2023. So there are rumors that a similar thing with like the whole Dupree Flamesy situation as well, right? So let's backtrack this a little bit. That trio coming over to Vitality was a big signing. Dupree, Magisk, and Zonic. Like it was huge. They probably got paid a pretty penny to be able to do that. And next year, which maybe people have been, looking at a bit of the broader landscape, will have noticed that we are going into a bit of an esports winter, whereas Counter-Strike is not immune to this. These are probably some signs of that, especially organizationally, when we're talking about some of these companies which are just, kept afloat by VC money or investors who want to see some return on this. And we're going into a time where, let's just say, like, strip clubs are not on the menu anymore. You don't have that much money to be thrown around. So the idea that people like Zonic and stuff are taking a pay cut or being asked to take a pay cut, that doesn't sound too foreign to the way that the landscape looks for somebody like me who also works in this industry, right? Like I'm seeing the writing on the wall.
I think when you say pay cut, it does seem very bad, but it also, as you said, you have to take into account what his original salary is and
Which
what the
is probably
landscape
very
is.
high.
It has to be on the higher scale. I'm not saying he was the most paid coach in all of esports, but the implication of Dupree, Magisk, and Zonic coming in, they were in a very good bargaining position, and Vitality at the time was willing to spend. Right, they needed to make a big move,
and they achieved what they wanted to achieve, which was winning the major in Paris. Right.
I feel like the best analogy for this, I don't know if this is the same everywhere, but like telecommunication companies, if you sign for someone, they're like, oh, you're on this guy, come to us, we're going to give you a good discount, you're going to get this and this, first 3 months off, blah blah, and then you're with them for 2 years. Fuck you, right? They don't give you anything.
Yeah.
But a new guy that wants to come in, they give him everything. So then every 2 years you need to swap fucking telecommunication provider if you want to have the best deal. And it's the same in like work and jobs as well, because no one's going to give you like a 40% like increase in salary over a year. But if you swap jobs, then you will. And that's
Unless you're at
kind of
HLTV.
yes, maybe. I don't know. But that's kind of how this seems to play out. And there's different incentives at different times for people. And I'm not saying that like whatever Vitality offered to Zonic was fair or made sense, but it makes sense to me that he would be offered less, even though everything is going good.
I just feel so he made a comment in that interview about the sticker money, right? Like, and this, and I've also heard from people that this is, especially because the sale is still going. The sale is still going. That this is just fucking blows everything else out of the water, right? In terms of the sheer amount that's being made here. But that also goes to the org, right? I don't know what the split is, but I'm assuming some of that money goes to the org. So not only did he deliver on what he was brought in the team to do, which was win a major, he delivered upon that, and the major that Vitality would have wanted as an org, it being in fucking Paris, and now they're raking in all this cash. I can imagine why he'd have his nose put down a joint if he was offered less money. If he was offered the same, if they came and said, you will pay the same and we'll just do this again, they came in and said, hey, Zonic, it's going to be hard next couple of years. Like, there's tightening of the belt. People want to know all these receipts. We can't pay you any more right now, but we fucking love what you did. We want to give you the same amount of money. Maybe he'd just go, yeah, okay, let's do it again. That's cool. Or, as we know, if anybody pays any attention to anything in modern fucking globe right now, all those, now this is the thing, I know I sound like a fucking idiot here, but all those soccer players, where there's really big name soccer players, all got bought up in Saudi leagues. Like, was it Neymar and Cristiano Ronaldo? Did I get those people right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. So the type of money that they're being offered is fucking insane. It is insane money. So let's assume that Zonic is getting paid more money. I don't know if it's the same level of insane money as what a fucking footballer would be, but if he's getting offered more money, I know in the article it says not purely motivated by money, but that's obviously a very large factor here. It's probably not purely motivated by money, but I'd imagine maybe 90% motivated by money.
I would say it's not necessarily the way I heard it, at least, is not that he's getting some ridiculous offer that some people have suggested, but maybe the reason is more that he was being undervalued by Vitality rather than, that he was getting some insane unrefusable offer, as KRL was implying, that he was getting like whatever, like, I don't know, people have been throwing out some pretty crazy numbers out there. And I can't say that I have a confirmed number that he got, just some talk behind the scenes. But generally it felt more to me like because Vitality were kind of lowballing him, he felt slighted. That's why he looks out for other opportunities, because why would you stay at an organization that doesn't want to value you for what you're worth? And obviously he is worth a lot if he has delivered on the promise that he's given to the organization when he joined 2 years ago, to win the whatever that he was talking to Neo about, winning a major in the next 2 years, or I think that was the timeline, right? He delivered on that. He executed a pretty risky move, getting in flames, but the team has remained number one, even though it was controversial. There was definitely some risk involved. Why break up a team that's working? But that also ensures that their future, that actually works. At least in theory, it will work for years to come. Potentially, because you have some people to rely on now that are younger, than the original core was. So, like, from all these perspectives, like zonic does all this, for the organization. Maybe he wasn't necessarily the only one who was making those calls, but he was the main guy behind them, as we understand it. And then they turn around and reward him by, lowballing him on the renegotiation, even though he's delivered everything that he's promised. I think for him, it probably doesn't feel very good to be valued like that by the organization,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this is like speculation, what we heard, and then kind of filling in the gaps. I believe that part that he was offered like low, but for me, it's just weird that this is what he picks, and he picks it so quickly. That's why I don't believe that the Falcons offer isn't really fast.
You think it's crazy? You think it is crazy?
I'm not saying it's like people are saying like 1 million per year. I think that's.
Well,
I
let's
think
do
that's
some maths
crazy.
here, right? People seem to think that like the Zawus and Simples of the world get paid like 40 or 50,000 euros, right? That's what they think. That's what, like, I don't actually know. I haven't gone to Simple or Zawu and go, hey guys,
I would say
how much
probably
money?
a lot more, just like because of they probably like players like that usually have like some share in jersey sales and stuff like that. No,
More
I'm
than
just saying
40 or
like
50,000 a month.
I would say with like
Holy
bonuses
shit.
from like jersey sales and stuff like that, that there's like, how many, like, I don't know how many this actually is, but I can only imagine how many Simple jerseys Navi have sold over the years.
Yeah, but I don't think he has anything from that, to be honest.
Bro, I don't know. Maybe he has the salary to cover that in some way, but if you're smart about negotiating, if you're a player like that, you will have a share in something that you're literally the only one bringing to the organization. Like, he is the GOAT. People just buy Navi jerseys just because of him with his nickname. So like that's something that I would say if you're a good agent, you will be able to negotiate a deal with an organization. So I would say overall with sponsorship deals, probably maybe that are being like part negotiated by the org, whatever. It's probably more than that for a guy like Simple.
Okay, so but that's the talk. The talk is that he's earning that type of bread. So what do you want to like?
Let's
I'm
just
not asking you
roll.
to put a number.
Let's just
on
roll with 50. Let's just roll with 50.
600,000 a year.
Yeah,
that's a shitload of money. Like, look, if you're good at what you do, right, you want to get paid for it. I understand this is a 5-time major winning coach. I like that's a lot of money right there. If it's more than that, that's even more fucking insane, right? And then at that point, you're thinking about, okay, this is the thing as well. So people put yourself in his shoes. He's Danish. He lives in Denmark. They pay 60% tax. They pay 60% tax. How many kids does Zonic have? 2?
I don't know.
I think he has 2 kids.
I don't know. I think he has at least 2, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, and also, I guess there are benefits of living in Denmark if you do pay 60% tax. All your education is free, the healthcare, all this kind of stuff, right? There's lots more perks. The place is clean. That's kind of nice. There's lots of good things in Denmark. Like, I imagine living in Denmark is pretty good. Okay, Lucas says they get money for every kid they have. What, even if you earn in the highest tax bracket or some shit? That's fucking insane. But this is what I'm saying. I think that for both sides of the conversation, probably feeling slighted by Vitality after delivering on everything STYKO mentioned before. And if it is just a fucking insane amount of money for a coach to be offered in Counter-Strike, something that we've never seen before, then this is why I'm saying it's probably 90-95% motivated by money. The other things, are like they said in the article, a clean slate, a fresh this.
But I think that is bullshit. That is bullshit. Sorry.
I didn't like reading that. I didn't like reading that.
If you wanna like have a different start, like a new challenge, you can have a new challenge in G2 with Nico, and not go to fucking Falcons, and your best player is Boros, that no one knows if he can like communicate in a round, or other than like I killed 3. That's not where you're gonna start unless there's number 1, good money for you. Number 2, promise that there's money to buy other players.
Yes,
and I think
that's the thing. The team is going to change.
I think that, I mean, he also said like there's a quote that he said he's going to give everyone a fair chance. Like, he's not going to change players. He's going to give everyone a fair chance, which literally just means he's going to share some players and some might stay. You know?
Yeah, he'll probably go Boros. Like people have said that you don't really have a brain and you can just aim. Is that true? Can we see it? And then if Boros goes, no, I can actually have a brain and aim, they go, well, Boros, you're pretty damn good. Maybe you can stay, right? But outside of that, who else are you keeping on that team? It's MHL, Lonks, Boros, MBK, Body.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Zonic.
One guy's going to prove himself. One guy's going to stay, I feel.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
That's it.
I mean,
other than that, who knows?
Question is how quickly they can do that, right? Because obviously, you know, major qualifiers are in 2 months or 3 months from now, but 2 months from when Zonic joins in November.
Doesn't mean we can't work on roster changes now, though, does it? Just because the doesn't start until then, like right? Like just because they say, oh, that's November 1.
We know how that went for Hooded, by the way.
But yeah, but this wasn't that with 2 partner teams?
Yeah, that was the main part why, you know, ESL didn't like that, of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Falcons
a month
on a
from
partner
now.
team.
It's a month from now. So
yeah.
I mean, still, but like, do you execute the risk of just, you know, like bringing in 2 different players like with 2 months before the qualifiers? I don't know. It's
yeah, why not? Especially,
I mean, maybe
think about what type of players you could get. It depends on the type of players you could get.
Of course, it depends. Like, there's the rumors about Magickan Dupree. I'm not sure if there's any truth to that. I mean, doesn't seem to be realistic to me, but who knows? If that happens, then of course, like if you have some big players to join instead of, you know, what Falcons have at the moment, then probably, yeah, you would probably make that move. Would that actually happen? I guess that depends. That depends on the money, I would suppose. Yeah.
So yeah. This is opened, like, because if they're willing to throw, this is all okay. Do you think they would be willing to throw this much cash at somebody like Zonic with then out giving him a reasonable checkbook? Like you're saying, Prof, that there must be the room for him to change all the players, but then that would be within reason. Like they're going, okay, we'll pay you all this money, but you have to make it work with not suboptimal pieces, but you can't just go buy simple Nico fucking Zywoo device, and you know you can't just buy all the best players. Like,
but what if you want, let's say, roll back 3 months and say you want to bring in a Nico, a Zywoo, or a Simple. What do you do to ensure that?
Pay them shitloads of money? Or get Zonic.
Get
Zonic.
Good coach,
Yes,
because getting a good coach is easier than getting a great coach. The greatest coach is easier to give than getting the greatest player first. True. So that is kind of setting the foundation for a better team in the future. And like what you're talking about, is it going to happen before the major or after? I don't think that's even relevant. I think
why not though?
Obviously, it just depends on what people are, what is available, and
well, it also talks about how much money we're talking about. And as far as we're aware with the Saudis, it's just they're just printing money, right? Like I get why you guys are like saying, oh yeah, it's not probably not, but why not?
Like, I don't know. There is obviously a budget. Otherwise, they would buy everything already.
Yeah. But there's always
and there's always not even a budget, but there's as I said, like you need to set up the foundation, and you can't go just like, you know, when you're talking about the football, like, oh, they got Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar. They got them when they're washed and they were not at their peaks, right? But that's their long-term plan of getting great players, is you need to get some of the shittier players. And they already got some good players like 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And that's like a process and the same thing is happening here. So like, yeah, they got some young talent that is good. They have they have a great coach. And now it's like finding people that are at the end of their contract, maybe, that they can sign, give them a good offer, and then, like, you know, in 3 good pieces from now, then they can go for these like top dogs, in my opinion.
Okay, so it's going to be a slower process. All right, interesting. Wow, that's okay. There's a lot of things that this opens the door to. It's like, so over there at Vitality, right? So if the murmurs of the Magic's thing are real, then that brings uncertainty there. I don't think they'll have, like, they'll probably just move Matt into the head coach role.
Yeah, I think that was even what Zonic said that he's kind of expecting to happen, and it makes sense. I mean, he was standing in at Gamers 8, they won with him behind the team, so I don't see why they wouldn't give him a shot, right? What are you laughing about?
There's a comment: the Saudis are not doing this to make money. Speaking of washed, 3 dots, implying the sports/esports washing.
But I don't know how much we know about the ownership of Falcons. I mean, everybody's saying it's all money, but I was like trying to do some research, and it's hard to tie it to anything, honestly, which is a bad sign in general. I mean,
but it's a Saudi Arabian organization, right?
Yeah, but right. I mean, that doesn't. But like, does everybody from Saudi Arabia automatically get money from the state? Like, obviously not. But there has to be something like that. Like, I think it was the community guy from Endpoint, Tom, he was like posting this screenshot with like the sponsorship that Falcons have, and it's like no big brands whatsoever. It's like nothing that they should be getting like big money from, you know. So who knows like where that money is flowing from and how much of it they actually have. If it's from the government, you know, if it's like like if it's under the, what is it called, the PIF or the sovereign fund, then obviously that would be unlimited, you know, to some, at least like for an esports team, you know, in those terms.
Someone in chat
I don't know.
Someone in chat asked an interesting question. Skiz099, first time chatter, welcome. Does something like financial fair play exist in CSGO pro scene market? No, because we're not
Depends on what you call fair play.
Well, so I assume. Well, okay. My assumption off of what Skiz meant, and here we go. Maybe I'm assuming too much here. Was that in terms of not like salary caps or anything?
Cap salary, okay.
Well, okay, maybe salary caps. Maybe that is what I was thinking, right? Because then
I mean, it's got to be, right?
Talking?
What else,
yeah,
what else would it mean? Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't have anything like that. Like if you wanted to come in tomorrow and you had enough money and you literally wanted to buy all those players I mentioned before, ZywOo, Simple, Nico, Device, who do you want your fifth to be? It could be anybody. Who gives a fuck, right? If you wanted that to be your team and you had enough money to do it and they were willing to join the team, you could do it. You could do it.
Yeah.
No, nothing would stop you.
Assuming there's no like contractual problems with that, you know, whatever. Like obviously sports contracts can be a little bit rough sometimes, but
I have one thing to address. Gab848 in chat. I said Neymar was washed. He got offended. Probably Brazilian or Portuguese, but love you, mate. Obviously, he's not washed, but he's also not in the peak of his game, and he hasn't been for some time. He's not like the best player in the world or the top 3 right now. I don't watch football that much, but I'm pretty sure he's not, because I haven't heard about him in years, essentially. So is he washed? Does he not know how to play football? Probably not. Probably he does know how to play football, but he's not Simple, he's not ZywOo, and he's not Nico. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. You feel happy now that you've got that piece out there? You happy you got that out there, Prof? You feel safe now? You set the record straight?
Yes.
Do we have anything else we want to dive into with this? Because I was reading the article. I read the article. I trying to think what else really stuck out to me. Lars going as well. We mentioned that, right? I guess I don't know. I am not a performance coach. I don't know what it means to, you know, set up. I guess I can kind of speculate what we're talking about, setting up the environment and stuff. But yeah,
there's actually a funny part of that. You know, that's like Falcons were only just originally going for Lars, and then suddenly realized zonic was available as well. Like imagine if you're an organization and you go for some like backroom staff, you know, like performance director type people who are obviously, you know, they're important. They set up a kind of like a structure behind the team and all that stuff. But you know, it's not who you see at the forefront. You know, it's not necessarily the people that make the biggest difference in the actual server and stuff like that. You know, but you know, imagine if you were going for a guy like that, and the response you get is like, "But do you want the greatest coach that has ever been in CS:GO as well?" On top of this, is you're like, "Wow, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Why not? I'll take it." Yeah,
imagine being that team, you know.
Yeah, it must be nice. Okay, let's Dimitri, let's run some ads. We can come back. We can talk more about this after if we want, but we're about that hour mark. Let's run some ads. We'll come back. We'll keep the conversation going, and we'll move into more of these 0 to 8 baits.
Here's a good vibe, here's a good vibe, here's a good vibe, good vibe.
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Do you want to change your boring old skins for awesome new ones fast, without losing a lot of value, and without the risk of getting scammed? Go to tradeit.gg and safely trade your items within 60 seconds. Just select which items you want to trade from your inventory and choose whatever skin you want from Tradeit's inventory. Click Trade, verify the trade on Steam, and you're good to go. With the biggest inventory available for the lowest trading fees on the market, tradeit.gg is your go-to whenever you want to play with new skins.
I am also, as we do this, I've been keeping tabs on Smooth's stream. He is playing with Fear and Soulfly and a couple of others. They're playing in this Jönköping qualifier. So if you guys wanted to watch some CS2, Smooth streaming a bunch of it. And it's official matches. I know it's probably not going to be the most team-based Counter-Strike, but still interesting to see how it plays out. And we'll be talking more about CS2 a little bit later, but let's continue through some of these roster changes. Do we want to talk more about Zonic and Falcons, or do we want to go to branch off and maybe we return to this if it's an adjacent conversation?
No, we can go.
Okay. So some of these here are curious. Now, Prof, I'd like you to demonstrate your concept in full right now.
Okay.
I'll give you Heroic.
Heroic making a change. Since we're not really defining anything, I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 8.
Okay, so you think it's somewhat
Dimitri,
real?
I think.
Dimitri, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you.
This is it. I'm not convinced that it's happening. I don't know. Like there's rumors about Tessus. There's rumors of this and that. I heard some things. I heard different things. But I think that especially if like everyone starts making moves, that Heroic is going to make a move. Then I think so. Yes, but I don't think they have like any obvious choice in my mind, and that's why I'm not that convinced that they're going to make a move.
Okay. Well, if the Astralis news is true, doesn't that make you believe more in the Heroic news?
I think it's the other way almost. Like if the Heroic news is true, I will definitely believe in the Astralis news.
So you think?
Look,
Okay,
just
we'll
go
flesh
with
that out.
Go with your thinking. I'll go last because I actually have a lot to say about this. So go.
Okay. For me, I think the way that Heroic have stagnated, probably need some form of a revitalization within the team. And a player change is a really good way to like kind of shake out that mindset. I think for them to find a player that fits the culture that Cadian's trying to curate is very difficult to do. Do I think it could be an already established player from another team like Astralis? I don't know if anybody would really fit that bill. Burrop's been there before. He would probably be the one, who would probably assimilate into that the most, but he is not the player I imagine that you would be looking to get. And then I think, well, what player would you be looking to get? And what do we think Heroic's overall issues are? Do we think is the philosophy? Do we think it is their flux approach, which is, very proactive, very movement based, constantly making these high risk maneuvers, which they make look like poetry and fucking motion when they pull it off, but also you can lose really badly and you can get made to look a little bit silly at time to time. So are they looking for an entire change in how they want to approach the game as a team? Is that just going to be the nature of things because we're moving into CS2 anyway, and that's just going to happen? Do I think they're going to make a change? Do I think they should make a change? Are two completely different things as well. Let's just go with
what you think is going to happen. That's what we're doing. We're rating how real this is, for real rating.
Oh, let's go. I'll go with a 4 out of 8. I'll err on the side of caution a little bit more than you, Prof.
Okay.
Okay, STYKO, you said you had a lot to say.
Yeah.
Tell me how wrong I am.
Do you want to put your number in first and then?
Okay,
explain?
I'll do a 6 out of 8, and I'll say why. I would even go slightly higher, maybe, but I think there's still a lot up in the air. I don't actually know what's happening behind the scenes, but I've heard enough to think that there's definitely something happening.
Okay.
In Heroic, I just don't know what exactly. I heard like everything from like 3 players being cut to nobody being cut to just 1 player being cut and that player being 3 different players. I've heard so much.
Wait. 3 players being cut to 1 player being cut to that player being 3 different.
I just
players.
heard that like the options are basically like between just 1 guy, nobody's getting cut, or like even up to 3 guys are getting cut. And it's not even. And here's my read on the situation, and I don't actually have this substantiated by like proper sources or like corroborated, but it's kind of based in some information that I got, but also me filling a lot of the gaps. And I'm not 100% sure that I am right in this, but my read on the situation is that because of the change of ownership in Heroic, and I don't know if people are actually aware of this, but there's been like a shift in Heroic. They used
I don't
to
know
be
who owns them now. I've been trying to work this out, and every person I talk to, like they're either like tight-lipped about it or they don't fucking know.
As far as I can understand, it's some people from OneXBet. But I don't know, like this is what I've been hearing behind the scenes.
Well, that explains why people aren't talking about it.
I would say so, yeah, because it's like kind of like done through some other company or something like that. But I think the teams, the people actually behind it that are buying it are from OneXBet. And the reason that I think that this might be causing the change, or maybe not. It's maybe not like a direct cause, but maybe people just have an easy out now because of the ownership change. Maybe there's something that they need to accept to continue in the contracts that they have under the new ownership. So they effectively have an out if they want an out. And with changes in ownership, you don't know who's behind them. You don't know like how the new people will treat you and all that stuff. Maybe you're just not going to be so convinced about where the organization is heading, if there's future in it and all that stuff. If you're just going to be locked into new contracts like with new owners that you don't have anything like any real information about.
Sure.
So maybe this is just coming from the players saying like, okay, like I don't feel safe with this new setup, and I'm not saying like safe as in like they're in danger of like physically, but I'm just talking about like contract wise. Okay, they're maybe not super confident that they'll be able to continue with this brand for in the long term future, and so people are potentially exploring their options. Saying okay, so if I'm not so convinced about this, maybe Astralis can give me a better offer, or like I can go to a team that could be potentially just as competitive, but I could be safer in that with that brand, with that organization behind me, all that stuff.
So
I think
Astralis is safe is still seen as the pinnacle of Danish
that's
orgs to
also
be
that's
under.
also a big part of it. Of course, I mean we've been hearing stuff about Astralis and just their financial situation a lot as well. But it seems that especially now that they've kind of gotten the team back under control, and they're looking competitive and not in such dire straits as they were before. Essentially they can still attract some sponsors because they're going to be like in playoffs and all that stuff. Their sponsors are going to be much more visible. They're going to get more value out of that thanks to just through being more competitive. So why not, if you're, let's say you're a Stown, like why wouldn't you consider going
Sounds
to
played with
Astralis?
Blame before, right?
Stown's played with Blame, so yeah, for sure.
So,
And
who are you?
like why wouldn't you see like two heroic players just replace Borup and Stare in Astralis, and that becoming kind of like the new Danish super team, kind of like why not? At this point, it would be better than Heroic.
But
is
they're
now.
a family.
What a change of fate this would be. Holy shit.
But that's kind of like my read on the situation is that because of the change in Heroic, some players are just potentially considering leaving, and that potentially cascading more, But it could end up that, okay, Stown, let's say this is Stown, I'm just like putting names out there just because this kind of makes the most sense. If you're Stown, you're a super valuable player to a lot of other organizations. If you go out there and seek options, you're probably going to get a lot of offers, and especially from an Astralis that have been looking to get players like these, from Heroic probably for a very long time. They just never were in the position to actually say, okay, Heroic, but we have the better team now, because Heroic has been so consistent for such a long time. So I think this is what's cascading into potential like shuffle in the two best teams in Denmark, and potentially including this Dupree Magisk whatever that we're hearing from some of these like weird leaks. I think this is how it all comes together, and it all cascades from Heroic. I think if Heroic decides to move, somebody from Heroic decides to move, more people will decide to move, and the shuffle happens like that.
Interesting. So I wonder what the ideal constellation, well, I guess we could speculate that. What would we say is the ideal constellation of players if we had these options available?
I mean, you start with device.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I feel that then like you have to have Blame.
I think you still have to have Blame. Yeah, I don't think there's any way of getting around him still being at least like top 3 player in Denmark at the moment.
So then I guess you'd want Stown.
Yeah, I mean that's your like kind of.
Then
imagine if Stown wasn't your like best player. Imagine if you had device like that giga consistent, even though less consistent now than before.
Yeah.
And you had Stown as your like exile to your device Shiro and their peak.
But you kind of then I feel like I know people would probably go for like maybe a Yabi or something, but I think Shush makes a lot more sense just because the anchors, like instead of a Borup, that would be like I think that would be like an amazing change,
Especially if Blame continues to play like he does now, as opposed to how he played before.
Like with the pack,
he can't go back to. He has to be more of the in-game leader and player he is now.
I mean, Shush has been in the conversation for being like one of the best anchors, like in the same conversation as like a Perfecto, like some of these like support quote unquote players, that just stand out from the pack of people who will usually have bad stats, but Shush is actually one of the people who succeeds in those positions more often than not. So I think, I mean, why not just put Stown and Shush in the place of Borup and Stare in there?
Yeah, Stare hasn't delivered, right? But then why not just replace Buzz as well and take Yabi?
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go really all out, I suppose. Yeah.
But then also like
I wanted to say major spots, but they don't have one. So,
but you also brought Magisk and Dupree into the conversation, Striker. So where would they even plug into this? Are they the dregs that are left
that's
over
true,
to go
actually.
heroic?
I mean, I don't know if Magic would actually move or not. There's
There you
been
go.
something about that, but it's possible, right?
Boomich in chat.
Nice buzz,
Boomich
blame
in
F,
chat.
Yabby, Stown.
Hello.
Yeah, he says
Did
device,
he-
buzz, blame F, Yabby, and Stown.
Well,
I
they put it
asked
with
him
popcorn.
Cloud9. He didn't say
One more
anything.
time. Device, Buzz, Blame F, Yabby's down.
Yeah.
Okay.
The balance
Also-
there. Does Buzz play differently?
Pretty aggro overall, I'd say.
Yeah, right.
but-
Wouldn't they have to
I mean,
reconfigure something there?
he's shifted a bit more to to at least more passive positions, but just not in all the maps. So it's kind of like it's been kind of a chopping and changing situation for Astralis' roles recently.
Interesting. Well, if this is what you say it is, then Striker, this is one of these classic situations where people just talking to people until some kind of more favorable scenario for whoever the power. Because
I actually hate this situation for one reason.
Yeah,
because it has nothing to do with the teams. Well, I hate this and I like this because it's both good and bad from the perspective of like people looking to change just because of their organization being potentially in danger, because of their financial situation and whatever like that, And this is also the reason that has caused us to be in a shitty position in terms of transfers in the first place, because we can't build the best teams that like these dream rosters that we always talk about, like what would be the Danish dream roster, but it's never possible because the best players are split between two different teams and they will never move across unless one's in a bad enough position, to actually consider moving to the other side, So I feel like this is good in the sense that we can actually have that happen, but it's also bad in the sense of like Heroic will just blow themselves up as a result of not because of their competitiveness, because I really don't believe that this has anything to do with like their recent slump. I think it's more that all of this has caused the recent slump, because of the background, because of the behind the scenes changes in terms of the organization, changing owners and all that stuff. This has probably, caused some nerves, and some negotiations to happen on the players' side, figuring out what the new owners will be like and all this stuff, like I'm assuming that it's more the cause it's more the result rather than the cause.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is all very interesting. I'm curious.
Do you like my logic or not?
Well, the thing is, Striker, you talk to more people than I talk to. So when you say something like this, I go, it's grounded in something.
This is filling a lot of gaps still, like
Yeah,
on
but
top of what I've heard.
you still have a lot more information and knowledge of this stuff. Like
You're
my
surrounded
thing
by
is,
players for 5 weeks in Malta.
all I see is like these conversations of people off in a corner and go, is that them talking about a roster change? Well, I didn't even stay at the hotel. Like I'm not smoozing with them every day. I don't see them at fucking breakfast. Like I went into work like a normie. I fucking got my car in. I got out of my car. I took my bag in, and then I went and I worked my 12 hours or whatever it is. And I didn't have like, the thing is the players weren't even as forthcoming with their time this time around. I don't know why that was. I guess who the fuck knows. But we need to be able to change. Anyway, I fucking don't want to talk about did 5 weeks. But I don't know. I take the stuff that you guys have, right? You like I should DM players more. I asked Justin, I said, Justin, you know anything about this shit? And he said, nah. And I went, okay, that's about as far as my investigation goes. And okay, Justin's got no idea. I guess I got no fucking clue either.
I feel like Justin is not the guy you get a lot of from. Not only that he's not gonna be willing to share, but I don't think who does he talk to? I don't think he talks to a lot of players to even get this information. Like if he is your best source,
he's my only source, man. Like just I don't know what else I'm talking. I try to get twisted.
And you've outed your own source, so all this information that you ever bring us about G2 or whatever else is happening, we know where it's coming from.
Well, now maybe this is good smoke and mirrors. Maybe I got a lot more sources going on. I tried to get Twist to come be part of Rushley's TeamSpeak for a little while, and he came for one day, and we were all playing BattleBit, which was like, and he was just sitting there in TeamSpeak, and then like he was sitting there for like 4 or 5 hours.
Was he talking or
no, he was just chilling, and then like then he left, and he just went bye guys, and like he didn't say anything the whole time. We're like, oh shit, maybe we should have like played Counter-Strike with Twist or something, because he's never come back to TeamSpeak since. So I kind of gotta go.
So,
I mean,
this
feel
the
like
invitation.
Yeah, I think so.
It feels like you blue balled him hard, man. Like you invite him to this team speak and then like do nothing with
Yeah,
him.
but
Like,
it,
what is
it was
going
probably
on?
something about the crispy vector or something, man. I don't know. We were real hyped on BattleBit for a little while there. We
Okay.
were just all jacked up on it.
All right,
This
fair
is
enough.
like the story. It was like you get invited out with a girl and you come there and it's like their friends, all of their friends. It's like
Yeah.
cool. I thought this was something else. That's how Twist felt.
All right, I'll have to extend an olive branch again, get him back in.
Someone in chat said my picture here on this presentation looks like I'm a BattleBit character. I don't know what that means. Is that an insult or a compliment?
Your picture where
Maybe you
battle
look like a robot. a little bit.
I think what he's saying is you look very square there. That's what what they're saying. You look very square because the BattleBit characters are very square.
Okay.
Okay, so does this mean, Striker? I would love to move to Astralis. Does this mean you'd also give a 6 out of 8 rating
I would
on
I was
Astralis?
gonna do the yes, exactly. I would
Okay.
do 6 out of 8 for Astralis just because it is directly tied to Heroic, I think.
Okay, well then I
would
would
actually-
also
I would
put a
actually
6 out of
go-
8, Prof, please,
yeah.
if I could.
You're sorry, just
I'm copying his homework, man.
No, I'm gonna stick to a 5. I'm gonna actually stick to a 4. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh shit, trying to course correct.
There we
Well,
go.
what
Just
did
to
you
be
give
give to
me a
Heroic?
5
What did
then,
you give to
Prof.
Heroic? You gave Heroic a 5. You
Yeah.
think if Heroic are changing, that Astralis aren't coming like, oh, hey.
Well,
let's get
I'm
some
just
of
saying, like Heroic 1 change, Astralis 2 changes. That's why I'm giving it a 4.
Okay.
That's why I'm giving it. Mathematically, it adds up. Okay, we
Okay.
talked about these things, Astralis as well, so we
Yeah.
can move on.
Let's talk
There's,
about.
by the way, like for Astralis, there's actually the Dupree option, which would be, I don't know how much, like, probably not
Actually-
free because he's still in Vitality contract.
Actually, I put it back to I put it to 6. I forgot about the pre for makes sense. Makes sense actually.
Okay.
I don't know if it makes sense, to be honest. I mean, that's a
Boomich
pretty
is
old
waiting-
core to go into the new game with.
Boomich is waiting for us to talk about Cloud9, so we'll wait on Cloud9. We'll keep him waiting a second longer here. Let's talk about NIP.
We need to maximize viewership.
Keeping the one.
You
Boomich.
won't believe how much money we're milking out of Boomich right now.
Here's what I'm going to say for NIP, Prof. I'm going to go. Oh, he's got DreamHack Qual. We got to finish it soon. Okay. Well, let's go with NIP, then we can go to Cloud9.
I think this is a quick one, no?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go with 8 out of 8. We
Mm,
already know.
Yeah.
Because
think-
Brett's taken over in management position.
But-
He said he's
yeah.
open to changes, right? Isn't
He's
this one
basically said it,
self-explanatory?
yeah.
And they have to have a change. Like,
Bro, it's just impossible to keep with this team. We've been talking about this for like, when did her config came in like March or something, right?
I don't
And
know.
the Hamp is coming back hasn't solved, like, it's probably just made everything worse. I don't know, in terms of like roles and stuff like that. So I think it's just impossible, like, for them not
Absolute
to.
nightmare.
Yeah, this
Actually-
has to change, right?
Actually, it's funny because we had the article. Where is it? It literally says threat. I'll be making.
Yes.
I'll be looking into making some changes to the theme. And someone commented, "Is this a threat?" It is whatever you interpret it as.
It's
But this is a
8 out
fun
of 8.
show. I'm enjoying myself a lot.
This is 8 out of 8. This is definitely something is happening. All right, let's talk about
Especially
Cloud.
with the Resvac ban. This is definitely there's some changes coming.
I'm still, I think, yeah, maybe that
Chat,
was.
when you saw that headline, did you think it was like Res getting backed on HLTV?
No. What was the
Okay.
headline?
It's still there, I think. No.
No, it's
Where-
like the Res encounters VAC live ban on
Oh
CS2.
no, it didn't. No.
But
it
it was
didn't.
like encounter. I mean, come on. If you see
I think
encounters, that
it's-
means something. That means like didn't happen to him.
I think it
If
would have
it- if
said
it didn't-
res banned by
gets
VAC.
banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would be completely different headline.
I only like it was up for like 8 hours, and now I only saw comments about it now. So I guess it does explain why. People went into it so much, but it wasn't attention at all. So
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Cloud9 changes. So the rumor here is Hobbit out, Boomich in. But there was also a rumor about Hooch
going to
leaving as well,
Cloud9?
wasn't it?
Okay.
But there was a rumor about Hooch out of one win as well as Boomich.
I did not see that rumor.
Now this is probably
that was a rumor. Yeah.
now.
But
I would like if I can assume that both are true. I don't mind it. Like I don't mind it at all. I think you take Boomich over, right? You plug him in, he can in-game
Wait, you
lead.
think Coach would be coming to Cloud9 too?
Why not?
Okay.
think
Aren't we
that would
talking
be a
about
good one.
Cloud9 needing a guy
I
to
don't
get
think. I don't think that was the implication though.
Well, but it's my implication. This is
You can
what,
take whatever you want from it, man.
I've spoken to no one, so I'm basing this off of nothing. Even though Hooch was there over the weekend, I should have said, "Yo, Hooch, are you joining Cloud9?" I should have said, "Yo, Hooch, is Boomers joining Cloud9?" I didn't do either of those things. So I'm a fucking idiot. But I'm going to live in a world where
You
Hooch
also
is
had
going
a
to
different
Cloud.
job to do during that time, so
That
you
is
shouldn't
true.
be too hard on yourself.
That's true. But let's assume that Boomich goes over, right? He picks up all the jobs that Electronic doesn't want to do. Electronic gets to focus on just shooting everybody in the head like an absolute monster that he is. Hooch comes in. He's the guy getting the team fired up. He's fucking yelling. He's a good vibe tribe kind of guy. Groove can stay there with Finn. They can work on all the strats and all that stuff that they want. Because right now the Cloud9 team doesn't even look like it has an identity when they approach the game.
And Hooch is like an opposite to Groove in terms of like he will get in your face if he needs to, you know?
Yeah, so I'm going to give this a 4 out of 8. Because I don't know. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's fake. But I want to live in the middle ground if I can, Prof. Is that okay? Can I give it a 4 out of 8?
Yeah, you can do that. I'm gonna put it in.
Oh.
I'm gonna give it like a 2. Honestly,
You give it a 2.
Honestly, I'm not feeling this. Even though I
Okay.
don't think it would be bad, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Boomich is so sad in the chat probably at this point. It's like,
I
what?
don't think it's gonna happen. That's
Well, I'm
that's
living
it.
50-50.
I think it also doesn't really solve some of the role issues they have on
If
the
you bring
side.
Boomich in.
Yeah, I think
I
it
mean,
just makes
Electronic
it
can
kind of
go back more to his at least to be like a second rather than like being forced to entry a lot, because I'm not sure that he enjoys life as a pure entry at the moment.
Yeah, Axel and Perfecto are your more anchor guys, right? And then you have Boomich is I'll take an MP9 and push guy. And then you have Electronic is either taking space somewhere else or trading or being part of that.
Yeah,
pack.
and then Shiro is just pack whopper, right? So very normal.
What
I don't
do
know.
you,
It could
what do you
work.
rate this? What do you rate this?
It's
Milan?
like in terms of indication whether this is actually happening, this is like one of those things that I haven't actually heard anything about, so I can't really comment on like actual any
So a
sort
0 out of 8 bait.
sources. I wouldn't say that necessarily. It's more like just I don't have an indication one way or the other that it isn't happening or that it is happening. But I feel like I've had more indication on the Hooch part that he's actually leaving the team, and if he's leaving the team, where I would say there needs to be a reason behind that. Maybe he's leaving because Boomich is leaving too.
Well, he
It's
could
going to
also
be a
just
mess and he
go
doesn't want to do it again.
He could also go to Bet Boom, but also there's a rumor about Innershine
going to Bet Boom.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I'll give it a 4. I just don't have an indication either way, and I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
So we've clicked on the thread, Prof. We've read now just the title and the opening statement, and we don't know yet. We're having to have some. STYKO and I are going through the comments right now. We don't know if this is bait or if this is real. So you've got us with this one. We're definitely thinking about it.
Okay. We skipped STYKO.
Okay, we can. Oh, we did. Oh, I thought you meant we should.
It's kind of 8 out of 8, isn't it?
I'm giving it like a 7.
Okay.
Okay.
From what I know,
it's already kind of happened, but it's just like they haven't really said anything.
They I don't know. Maybe it's not 100% yet.
Prof, can I have whatever STYKO's having, please?
Yeah. Can't just copy.
I said 8.
Yeah,
I said 8, but I don't actually know this.
88. No,
88.
First
88
number.
8.
First number.
What a classic bait.
Let's go. I don't know. It's pretty much official at this point. I don't actually know that that's like 100%, like he's never coming back. But if he's like out for a tournament that's like a qualifier, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense for me to just suddenly bringing an academy guy at this time.
That's what I would have said, Prof. I would have said the same thing. Just so you know, just so you're aware. All right. Well, how do you feel about it? Are we done? Are we done with this? I was going to ask how Prof feels about it, but I think I know Prof's already put his answer in. All right.
Yeah.
We happy? Everyone happy?
Happy.
Okay. It's 9:30. We've been going for about an hour and a half, so probably the perfect time for us to get into CS2 conversation. Everybody, guys, I keep turning the AC on and off. When it's on, it's cold. When it's off, it's hot. So here's what I'm going to actually.
What's the problem?
I'm going to go open my window. Give me a second. You guys talk about stuff between yourself. I'm going to open my window. Be right back.
Oh my God, Chad is such an annoying guy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just copying my answers all the time.
Are we talking about CS2, right? I don't know what our topics are, so let me give me a second to see what I wrote.
Release and initial reactions.
Oh, what a great topic. Must have been a genius that wrote this.
Okay.
Release, I think I will say this. For me, there was rumors about this coming out like on, was it Wednesday that it came out? And like a week
Yep.
or so before that, there was a bunch of rumors.
Not
I did
rumors. They
not,
literally said, "What are you doing Wednesday?" It's not even a rumor. It's more like them just kind of
yeah, but I
announcing
did
the
not.
announcement.
I have to say, I did not believe that they were actually going to release it, because when I was playing it, I felt the game had so many small and big issues that it was like, this, no way they're gonna put this out. This makes no sense. And I thought it was gonna be like an open beta. That made sense to me.
This
But
essentially is an open beta, though, wouldn't you say?
you could
I
say
know,
that.
I know it's an official release, but essentially, I think there's.
It is an aggressive open beta. I will say that.
Yeah,
I mean, because it's replacing the real game, so
Yeah.
it's not really, an open beta. You can't say that.
but I
It's-
think that the
it's 1-0.
expectation was, I think, and this is the problem when you assume things, you make an ass out of you and me. But I think the expectation was, if it was going to replace CSGO, it needed to at least offer what CSGO had, which it hasn't done with a bunch of the features, which I imagine need to be completely recoded and remade, like the different game modes. Maybe a lot of those game modes, like Arms Race, for example, or Flying Scoutsman, like in the war game stuff. Maybe it doesn't get played a lot. So they think, well, fuck this. There's not a whole lot of people who play it, so we don't really need to worry about those things. But somebody who, like, I'll be honest, I am someone who's played a shitload of Danger Zone. Right, I have played more Danger Zone than 99% of Counter-Strike players. I can say that with pure confidence. For me, the fact there's no Danger Zone, I don't care. I don't play Danger Zone anymore. But I'm sure there's a group of people who play Danger Zone who missed that. There's probably a large group of people who surfed every day. That was the way that they played CS, and now they can't do that because all the mods are fucking broken and they need to be rebuilt. There are subsects of the community that didn't get their usual version of the game which they'd play. And this is one of the things that like upsets me probably the most about this, is all of these maps, all of these mods, all of this stuff that has existed as community made is no longer able to be used, right? Because of this just hard cut. And now they're going to have to rebuild, which is great. We're kind of burning the forest down and people can rebuild and we can see what comes from this, maybe a whole bunch of new things. But in the short term, for people who literally just play these mods, whose way to load up Counter-Strike and enjoy it was doing these niche things like fucking zombie mod or jailbreak or whatever the fuck it is, they now can't do that until it gets rebuilt. And I think that's probably the most disappointing thing on release, that there wasn't like a point where, okay, guys, we release all these tools. Now you guys can make all your own stuff and you can mod it and you can do this. And then on release, we already have them all. That's where I have some of my bigger issues with what's gone down here. Because there's a lot of things that we need to think about. And this is kind of what I'm trying to do with what I'm saying here for a lot of our viewers and listeners. We cater to the hardcore audience of people who like professional Counter-Strike. That is what we tailor to. But Counter-Strike does not revolve around us, right? Counter-Strike is Counter-Strike, and then everything else that comes off of that is an offshoot. Valve's, I would imagine, their core fucking focus is how do we make our customers happy, right? And they've obviously upset a lot of their customers based off a lot of things that I had just said just there. But I guess long term, that's what they're aiming for. Long term, okay, now we don't have fucking spaghetti code on something that was built by Hidden Path fucking 10 years ago. Now we have brand spanking new engine, which I can say, because I fucking saw them do it with my own two eyes, makes it a lot easier for them to update a lot of the things that we're having issues with. Like, I don't know if people have noticed, but the amount of body sway that there was before to what there is now in the current version of the game, it almost feels like it doesn't exist. Like it still obviously exists a little bit, but compared to what it was when we first got our eyes on it, it's not even close. So there's a lot of things that have been updated and changed in positive ways in a short amount of time. And every day of like last week and probably every day of this week, besides the weekend, there will probably be updates with bug fixes and map fixes and this and that. But I also, like, I have so much I want to say about all of this. I can just keep going. But lads, like, where do we even turn here?
I mean, here's what I think kind of Valve painted themselves a little bit into a corner with the announcement of the major and where it falls, and probably how late compared to the expectations they thought the game would be ready. Because they obviously said that they would be released in the summer, and I guess they just thought, okay, by that time they would actually be able to run it without too many issues, at least like with the biggest kinks worked out. But consider this: like in 3 months, the open qualifiers for the major are starting.
Okay, so this is where the conversation changes, though, right? This is where we're talking about the game being esports ready.
But
right?
that's the problem. But that's the problem, because they kind of painted themselves into a corner where they have to make.
Well, they didn't have to do anything, though, did they?
No, they don't. They don't have to do it. But obviously, like if you have 3 months, before open qualifiers start for the major, like you kind of have to amp up the updates. You have to amp up, make sure that it's actually ready for the CS2 major, like 100%, you know? So I think that's like, it would have still made sense to just do an open beta to me, you know, and just leave CSGO running on the side. But this way, maybe they do have a lot more data. They have a lot more feedback. They can work out the kinks maybe a little bit faster, and they can ramp up in those next 3 months. I think I can't speak to like what the thinking is from their side, but I would imagine the esports side actually did rush them into releasing. I think it factored in hard into releasing it fully.
I think it's also from the interest perspective. Is like once we started going into CS2, like you felt it with EPL as well. Like the first week, maybe a second, okay, but the more CS2 started getting updates, matchmaking, Premiere, all of this, no one really cared about CSGO anymore. So then they were getting in the danger of like dividing the community into people playing CSGO, playing CS2. Yeah. That's something they want to avoid because it happened previously.
They did that with the big update of like letting so many people into the game, right?
Yeah. That's kind of where it's a double-edged sword. On one side, you need a lot of people to get a lot of feedback, but on the other hand, if you do that, then you're kind of inevitably you're rolling that rock down the hill, and it can't be stopped.
You're doomed if you do, doomed if you don't, right?
Yeah.
Like think about the other version of this that you guys are presenting here. They just keep giving more and more access to people to play it, but the professionals still don't play it. Like this is another problem that exists here. And I just want to point out, someone has made a very astute point. Poggers Daya said you can still access CSGO and go play those community servers if they're still up, right? So Steam Library CS2 probably true, you can do that if you'd like. So all those game modes that I was talking about, you can still go and play like KZ or whatever on a community server. If
you can't do matchmaking danger zone, for example.
Precisely,
matchmaking is off.
So unless someone has like a custom way of being able to do that, right? But so if you still want to access those things, you can. And I guess that Valve looking at it going, well, that's still available for people, and that will eventually be phased out, I'd imagine. Lucas in chat is a kind of a guy we look to for like server stuff and all this. He said no one knows how long it'll work. That's a good point too. And that's another thing. We don't know how long any of this is going to take. But what we do know is while CS2 was in beta stage, CSGO events were still running, which meant that the absolute best Counter-Strike players in the world, we'll all agree that the professional Counter-Strike players are the best Counter-Strike players in the world. I don't even feel like I need to sell that one, guys. That should be pretty fucking straightforward. We're not playing CS2, right? When we're at these events and we're asking, yo, you're playing much CS2? No, we're not. We're all focused on CSGO. The people that I would want to push my game to the absolute limits to find out what is possible are the people who live and breathe and are paid to play this game every day.
Yeah.
And if they're not doing that, right, because they're still playing CSGO, then I can't, as a game developer, fix my game as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And look, people are going, why are we beta testing a game for a $1 billion company? Fuck you people, man. Like, you're just new Counter-Strike people. What are you talking about? This game was literally a mod back in the day. Like, what are we even saying?
It was made by the people,
It's just, that fucking irks me up the wall when I read that shit.
I think what you're saying, like, literally ties back to the conversation that I wanted to start about it all being kind of backed on the esports side. I mean, why would you force a change and every pro to switch to the CS2, right? So that you can get CS2 ready for pro players. Like, that's the level that you want the game to be played at, so that level gets fixed for when the major cycle comes in 3 months. You have 3 months to make this pro ready.
We are going to sacrifice these 3 months. Fucked up shit is going to happen. There will be bugs. Stuff isn't going to work. There'll be long tech timeouts.
That's
but
what you have to go through.
Exactly. But that's what a lot of people are. And this is why I wanted to where I wanted to start this conversation, which is not where we're at now. But I wanted to kind of talk about what is the definition of something being esports ready, right? Because that's the VoxPop, right? The VoxPop is to do with, is it ready for competition?
No, I think I don't know what the question is. I think the question was just like basically what people's thoughts on the game are right now. Because we had a similar one before,
it was. Yes.
When it was like in beta still, and now we have the game out. So we're gonna just bring it up whenever we can. I don't have the preview, so can you send us a screenshot or something? I'll open it on Twitch.
Preview. Hold up, let me bring it up. Yeah, I voted in this poll on Instagram, I think it was. But, and I voted for good. Like, it was very good, bad, and I forget what the last option was, but
very bad probably.
I went with good. So the reason I went, I guess we're blending so many things here. Like, I guess this is all blended anyway. But I think the general sentiment was on the Instagram one was good as well. I think like 40% of people, or maybe it was on Twitter. I don't even know where I voted. Is it on screen? I should probably bring up the stream.
Yeah, I can tell you. So very good, 12%.
Okay.
Then
Oh, I
good
see.
56%, bad 24%, and very bad 8%. So most people, more than half, said good.
Okay, so this is where the conversation is also going to like go down these rabbit holes where everybody's experience is different. So we were talking about this because we were trying to work out what Dimitri's bitrate was with the fucking stream, so it didn't cause issues like earlier. There we go. I can see it now. Beautiful. That's our VoxPop brought to you by 22bet, and you guys at home over our different social media platforms voted, and surprisingly, a large percentage of you said it was good. But this is where as I'm saying, the definitions start to get blurred, and what we're talking about gets blurred. I'm a person who just bought a brand spanking new computer. Yes, I'm very lucky. I'm very privileged to be able to do that. I'm also an old man, so I have some income and I don't have kids and shit. So I can buy a nice new computer because that's my baby. But playing this now, I play on relatively high ping, 40 to 60, which I know isn't crazy high, but that's higher than someone from Denmark playing on fucking 10. I have a 4090. I've got a 7800 X3D, which Rush told me is the best fucking thing I could get for CS, right? So that's what I got. That's what I have. And when it runs Counter-Strike, I get 450 to 500 FPS no matter what, constant. Like, my game feels good. I don't experience any of the random stutters and shit. I maybe have to go around and do my shaders or whatever. So on all the maps, the first time I run it, so it doesn't cause any issues. But otherwise, I don't have any like big performance issues. I have ping, right, that is higher than other people, and that causes me a couple of issues where I'm like, oh, that's a bit funky. But in terms of the way the game runs for me, fucking amazing, right? Like I have no dramas at all. But for other people, I had a 3080, right? I've given that to my girlfriend. She's playing on that right now. She back at home is playing on a 1080 Ti or a 1080. But comparatively for her on my rig, my old computer, it's fucking amazing. But for me, from the 3080 to this one, this is even more amazing. Like, I've been able to see, I have 3 computers in my house right now that I could run CS2 on and see all the differences in how they would run. Like, and it would probably be different on every single one of them, my experience. And I imagine that's happening for everybody at home. Like, I imagine someone has a shit computer or has high ping, or, you know, has a shit computer and high ping. Like, everybody has different variables that are going to play into their experience of CS2. And there's other variables that come into play here as well for everybody. New sounds, new visuals, this fucking bob, these fucking traces, these things that we as people who are hardcore Counter-Strike players have not had to worry about for a fucking decade, because we've been able to customize it, where the money is, where the bomb is, the way the radar looks, things aren't as adjustable. All of this also with maybe our shit computer or our shit internet is factoring in to make a lot of this a less fun experience, right? A lot of people, when they play it in the beginning, this is shit. Spray sucks. The more I play it, the more I'm, getting used to it. Getting used to it. Some things, maybe like the bob, that's a good thing. I can get used to that. Should I have to? I don't know. That's a different question, right? There are other questions like shit that is fucked. So there are things which cause issues, like what a Legion floppy were finding out with water and mud and the velocity. Should that be different? I think that should be different. But does everybody think that should be different?
Yeah.
Maybe in the hardcore community, yes. But overall, who knows? Right? So there are certain things that are issues that we should make a ruckus about. And there are certain things that are issues that maybe we just need to get used to. And I'm trying to take a bit more of a mature response to this than I would have if this was Chad Birchall back when fucking CS Source
you're
came
also
out.
not competing for money and you're just watching the game. So it's much easier to be like, oh, well, everything's fine. But I think what I'm scared of is like all of these random issues that people are complaining about. I think Mopo's tweeting that he got like disconnected 5 times in a Faceit game and then got banned for 2 days. Yeah. It's like shit like that. If it starts happening in professional matches, then everything goes to shit, and it's really gonna, it's gonna destroy some results and it's gonna make results random.
Yes.
But that's just gonna happen. Unfortunately, that's just gonna happen. And until people give feedback and say like, oh, this happened, and they find fixes, it's gonna keep happening. But is it that okay? I would say it's okay for a time period. There's a time period that we can tolerate these things, and then there's a time period where it's going to be like, oh, this is not okay. And I think that cutoff is the qualifiers for the major. That's kind of where we are drawing the line. Like, until the end of the year, shit can be scuffed, but at least the basics of the game, the bugs and the weird shit, like this thing that we saw in Vertigo where people boost through the ground and shit like that.
Yeah.
Most of those should not be able to happen.
I think that's a fair surmise, right? I think there's a lot of things that our expectations as a community and a user base have changed. And if they hadn't over 10 years, I would be surprised, right? When CSGO first came out, as mentioned, it was fucking hidden path. I've mentioned this a bunch of times in the last 5 weeks.
Try to look up the first. I know this is not an excuse or doesn't make any sense, but like, people are complaining about shooting behind, walls and shit like that. And that doesn't like synced. if you go and watch the first demos, like the frag movies, even of CSGO, people are dying. That has no connection to the actual where they were, because like demos were like 16 ticks. So GoTV looked like trash. Like it absolutely looked like trash, but people still watched it, and it was still amazing. So, things will get better.
We just have a different standard now.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I think there should be a different standard. Like, I think the people who expected this to come out and for it to be fucking picture perfect, I think those people are delusional, right? But I think also this is the thing. I don't want to just be like a boomer and be, well, back in my day, the bomb used to get stuck at barbecue on Inferno, and that's when I was playing to qualify for a major. Like, that's true. That happened. Like, that. Do you all remember?
Bro,
the
we
Olaf
had a
boost?
quarterfinal. We had a quarterfinal of a major. Exactly. Was supposed to be replayed, and just like a team forfeited because of a bug that was used.
Yeah, right.
They used, by the way, but
yeah. Like I hold up. I just was reading a comment that kind of took me off guard for a second. I'm surprised Sponge haven't somehow involved CS2 issues with the hair transplant operation. I think my hair transplant went pretty good. I don't know how. Maybe Valve paid for my hair transplant, so they didn't have enough money to make sure that the game was ready on time. That could.
I mean, the game kind of paid for it, didn't it?
I guess in a way, yeah, it
kind
did.
of, yeah.
It indirectly, it kind of did, yeah.
Yeah, I just think as much as I understand that people's experience is shit at the moment, it's just the growing pains that we have to go through for the game to actually be 100% pro ready. I'm sorry for the people that are just here for the casual side and aren't happy with that part. With all that you were talking about, not everything being available. Of course, like, it sucks for those people, and I sympathize for sure. But unfortunately, like, if we want this game from our perspective, if we want this game pro ready, we need the pros to play it, and for the pros to play it, it needs to be the only game available. So I'm sorry, but this is just what it needs to happen.
I think there's also priorities. Like, I think the easiest thing for them to do is to enable Danger Zone, but that comes with their own sets of issues and bugs and stuff like that.
And people need to be focused on that.
They don't have time to fix, right? So maybe, I do see them adding more things that existed before over time, but just, the focus now is getting the movement, the netcode, the shooting, these things to be proper, and then it's easy to add on some of these other game modes and stuff. Like, that's kind of a no-brainer.
I'm not an expert, but I would imagine it would be easier with the new tools, or easier with the new tools. But there are some things which miff me a little bit, if I'm going to be honest. Right now, because we have all of these conglomerates, or everybody out there who's obviously wanting to make a buck off of this. Back in the day, when things like Source Mod and like all these different bots and everything used to get made, most of them were just like community accessible things.
Yeah.
They were just like made by someone, and it was like, oh, Z-Block. You can all use Z-Block because we all want to have a better experience in Source. But now, for an example would be Faceit, right? Not only do they have the expertise of Faceit, they also have the people who were there at ESEA available. They also have all the people who work for ESL, and then everybody else who, is off of that and has any possible relevance in helping them build out these things. And they have a lot of resources to be able to build stuff. There's this prac.com, right? They have the best deathmatch servers that I've played on so far, because they're the most like if I was playing in CSGO. Not like the shitty fucking Valve version where I have to inject myself in the arm to get HP back and I have to reload my fucking gun. Like, I'm not actually practicing what I want to practice. There are these other companies who, are going to build out their own things, and they're going to make them as quickly as possible, and then they're probably going to charge money for them, right? But that means like people who just want to run their own servers, like Lucas was saying in that thing from Petza, I know how to pronounce his name properly now.
Yeah, good job.
Was to do with like Archon not working. So this workaround, like fake Archon, I think it was called, right? So we are going to have issues with a lot of this stuff in the beginning having to be built, and then people are going to have vested interest into owning that intellectual property on like it's Valve's owning on the way that they're able to piece these things together, how it's coded, right? All this stuff, it's going to be owned by different entities. Yeah, you can play on community deathmatch servers. I can link an IP in here for you if you would like, and you can go and try it. It's pretty good. Let me link it for you.
Puppet says you can fix all issues except skill issue. Yeah, that is true.
There you go. There's some IPs for you guys. Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with this. I was kind of just talking about.
You wanted to say that it's you're miffed because people aren't sharing the knowledge as much as they did before.
Yeah.
Therefore, kind of. I want to say, I guess what you're trying to say, it's keeping the development back. But then the counter argument is like, people have private companies working on this so they can monetize it, which means they can pay people to work on this full time, which means like this singular branch of knowledge is going up faster, but the overall knowledge is going, slower. That's kind of the difference that we have, and
True.
it is kind of
Yeah.
shitty. But at the same time, I feel like it's just a matter of time. I think it's just weird that some people got ahead of it. I feel like so much. Obviously, Faceit has more resources and stuff like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I would love if people that are watching, or if someone's working on like plugins or maps or whatever, could just like send over their thoughts on working on CS2, what it's been like compared to CSGO. Maybe we can do like an article or something on it at some point. I just feel like some people had a head start, which I don't think that is fair if that's true, because there wasn't a lot going on during the beta regarding anything community based. It felt like it was impossible to do anything. So I don't know. Maybe it was possible. Maybe people just weren't doing it.
I mean, it's just even a lot of people didn't even know how to launch servers, even though it was possible. It was very limited, and you had to create workarounds. It wasn't possible to do on Linux servers, which is a problem, because basically all servers run on Linux servers in CS:GO. So all this stuff combined, just made things much harder. And obviously, the game being in beta and just not working properly, and at times it probably made things also rather demotivating for people who wanted to create community servers and having to deal with all that.
I think some of this may have also influenced Blast's decision. Are Blast using Faceit to run their qualify stuff online?
I don't know.
No. They were running, at least for the major. I want to say they were running for open qualifiers. At least they were running this thing. I forgot what it was called. Like one of these, like
wasn't it the challenge, like the
challenger mode, something like that. I forgot.
So what they were using easy anti cheat as their fucking AC.
I'm not sure how it is now. I don't know. I don't think Showdowns used to run on Faceit from what I remember, but I don't know now. Somebody can probably clarify. I mean, one of the pros, I'm sure. Is Boomich still here? Maybe he knows.
I think he might be playing. Someone in chat just said, Anton Roll just said Smooth is playing against Jerry's team right now on Ancient. It's 10-8. So yeah, this would be a close one. Cool. Got Steam Guard playing too. Everyone loves a bit of fucking Steam Guard. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. There's just so many things, right? There's so many different things that all plug into this. What do you guys think about the Blast decision? Do you think they should have, unless there was something really blocking them, do you think they should have put it on CS2 this week?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Without a doubt in my mind. I think it might be purely from a technical standpoint that they weren't sure they would be able to like do everything, and they couldn't, because for sure they don't have the system for stats that they have to pull graphics from that they had usually. No way they have that really.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
If they have like something that plugs into something, they don't know if it's going to fuck up. Like it hasn't been tested enough. Yeah. So from that point of view, but honestly, who the fuck cares about these graphics? People want to say CS2. You'll get more viewers if you play CS2. Most of the players want to play CS2. There are a few people that said something like, "Oh, but I think it was one of the Nouns guys that was like, "Oh, but I practice on CS:GO, and now this is my chance to go to blah blah." Yeah, true. But you're going to qualify on CSGO and then play CS2 in a month.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense either.
But for them, the qualification, that tells you how much the qualification means for them, right?
Obviously.
Obviously,
yes.
It is just going to set them further back in terms of their progression.
Yes, and there is no way, like, I don't know who was tweeting.
But the thing is, like, you also have to be kind of realistic, right? Like, it's just one spot for 8 teams, right? And like, what are realistically your chances to grab that one spot? Like, eventually you kind of have to just.
I would have wanted to move straight away. If I was a pro who wasn't in any events at the time, I would have been in fucking CS2 beta. I would have been knee fucking deep.
That's the thing, like, people are thinking too much in the present and what opportunities they have in front of them now, instead of kind of thinking. Obviously, like, some of these teams have to do that because they are in the position where they have to deliver some results to stay afloat. But so I understand like that aspect as well. Just like staying over in CS:GO longer than the top teams, just so that you have an edge over them at that way. But it's just with Showdown being what it is and being so cutthroat and just like one spot for 8 teams. I think it's just too much to focus all of your energy into just this one qualifier where the chances are so low already that it just doesn't make sense. Like, realistically, you're not going to get that spot. Like, chances are, like, odds are that you are not getting that spot. So why are you putting so much energy into it?
Yeah.
Didn't Zach also tweet like, "Hello, are there any teams in NA practicing CS:GO right now? Because like, who the fuck are they gonna play?
Yeah.
He did. Any teams practicing CSGO in the US can't find anyone, of course.
Yeah, because who wants to, right?
Who
Apart
would've
from the
thought?
people who are playing Showdown,
Exactly.
and you don't
Yeah.
want to play them because you're gonna
You have to play them
You're
in the
gonna have
fucking
to play
event.
them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you know, you look
I
at the
wanted to
team.
say they should play matchmaking, but they can't.
Jesus. Yeah,
That's rough.
I wanted to, because the teams voted, right? All the teams voted to.
But as I understand it, people kind of, I think, understood it a little bit too like a commitment to the vote, and like a majority vote would have already made Blast switch. I think even if you're making this like last minute decision, just like over 50% of teams voting in favor isn't enough just to tell whatever 3 out of potentially the 3 teams that would be in the final, to say, okay, we just have to switch to CS2. I think it was more like both from ESL and from Blast. It was more like in case everybody just said, okay, just switch. If in case everybody was saying that just let's switch to CS2, they would have switched, but not just like letting them vote on a majority decision.
I was talking about just the teams in the showdown. Are you saying like a greater group was surveyed that impacted what's happening with the showdown teams?
But it's 16 teams, right? They 8 and 8, and I assume that they wouldn't have just made the decision for one region and not the other, for example.
Okay.
So they probably polled 16 teams, and imagine 9 out of 16 just went one way and the other 7 went the other way. In that case, like, you probably don't want to pressure the 7 teams into whichever side they ended up falling on, and especially with the timeline being as it is now. I think they were more looking to get a vibe check for if everybody said, okay, let's switch to CS2, then they would have, just because, okay, none of the teams mind this,
I think it's also just I don't know. It happened at EPL as well. Can you, Chad, give us any insight into what that shit is? Because in my eyes, it's just very like TOs trying to wash their hands of any responsibility or any bringing any, like, making any decisions that could.
Oh, you mean with the votes?
Put them in a bad light. So that's why they always have to ask the teams and shit like that. It's like, why someone's gonna always be unhappy.
Yes.
And then you just put a vote and like, oh well, some people voted differently. And it's like, I'm fine to poll people for what they think, but that doesn't need to influence my decision at the end of the day.
Right.
It's good to have it as a baseline. But if it is 50-50 or it is 40, 30, 70, whatever, then just choose whatever you think makes more sense. And Blast are like, as I said, at the end of the day, they're shooting themselves in the foot because
can I ask a
no
question?
one wants to watch CSGO.
This is the question that implies a bit of nefarious intent. So, like, and there's no accusation. I just want to ask this question. Do you think it's more likely that the best teams, because it could be any of the teams, and I don't really care about the North American side, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm just talking about the European side. Do you think it's more likely that the best / more notable teams would qualify out of the 8 if it was on CSGO or CS2?
Probably CSGO, right?
I zoned out for the last second.
No, I mean, he's asking like if there was a bigger chance for the notable, so quote unquote, for the best ones that we know at the moment, or like the biggest, would be making it through. Yeah, would be making it through if it was CSGO or CS2.
Well, considering the results at the EPL,
who knows? Actually, very good point.
But it's like, especially with there not being a lot of practice and all that stuff, who knows, right? But probably on CSGO, just because it doesn't throw everything into question, right? Because I would imagine there's a bigger chance of an upset happening in CS2 rather than CSGO.
Especially with being MR12.
You're right in that question.
Yeah. So then if you wanted to make sure that you had the bigger names attending your event, then wouldn't you want it to be in CSGO? But even though we know the better teams, the ones who are going to be in Sydney, want to play CS2, because now they have to waste a fucking week of practice of half CSGO and half CS2 to try and qualify for the fucking finals.
Yeah, I mean, it's also
CSGO at all.
Yeah,
what would be the point?
It's also not great just for the sake of, like, you're obviously running the event, the actual event that this is qualifier for in CS2. I know Blast will say this is an actual event and it's not just a qualifier, blah, blah, blah. Everybody considered this a qualifier, so who cares about what they think, right?
This hasn't been an event since they moved it online and then just I guess we're never moving this back to LAN. Thanks,
it was
COVID.
never LAN, no?
It was
never
Showdown was never LAN.
Oh, yeah. There was
a plan for them to go online, but I think whatever happened, maybe money or whatever it happened exactly, just made them go the other way, especially because they had to separate it into 2 different regions, right? But yeah, I just lost my track of thought. I was
Sorry,
saying something
sorry.
and
Well,
I
I just
forgot what
want
it was.
to bring a jewel from the forums. So there's two
A
threads.
jewel.
Two jewels.
Two jewels.
Diamond. So there's two threads, one above the other. One is Rainwaker scapegoat, and the other one was Rainwaker scapegoat in quotation marks.
Okay.
It's brilliant. I love it. I
That's
love it. It's so good.
That's
Okay.
it. One of them has a lot more comments than the other, so I can
Yeah,
tell you
one of
one
them
is
has a
probably much
question
newer.
mark,
Yeah. Well,
and the other one has quotation
Yeah.
marks. There's
Did
some
you-
marks everywhere.
did you remember what you wanted to say, Striker?
No, I was just talking about the fact that, you know, if you want the best teams to be in CS2 at your tournament, maybe it's the best thing to run the qualifier in CS2, right? But
That's
this
another good point.
but it's also just 2 teams out of the 8, right? Like we already have 16 qualified through CSGO, so that's also another point. Like, do you want to make it? It's not even about fairness. It's just like different. It's like comparing whatever you say it, apples and oranges. There you go. It doesn't like either way. I'm not blaming either ESL or Blast for the decision, especially not the ESL, just because like who's crazy enough to do it mid playoffs, you know, not even mid tournament. I could understand from like groups to playoffs, you know, if there's like a week break or whatever, I can understand at least that, you know, like it's kind of separate events anyway. But literally mid playoffs, you know, like you're already running the bracket, you've already had 3 days of CSGO, and suddenly you're going to switch to CS2.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, you know. But I just don't blame TOs for whichever decision they decided to go with, because either you go to CS2 and you face the inevitable problems that you will have with all the tools that you have to run on a short notice, you know, just with a week of preparation, you know, to be able to tell if you're actually going to even be able to run the tournament properly in CS2, you know, and there's probably going to be some issues happening as a result of updates that happen in the meantime.
Yes.
You know, all of this issues, like, I cannot blame any organizer that decides, okay, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to still stick to CSGO until we're 100% certain that we can run CS2 as reliably as we have for CSGO, you know. So it's bad. It's bad either way. Like there's going to be unhappy teams. There's going to be unhappy community because they still have to watch CSGO when everything is played in CS2. But the problems are that, like, the reality is that there are problems that just go beyond that.
I think what also needs to kind of be pointed out, and this is what we're talking about with people who are coding and making new things, is like ESL with Faceit have a leg up over everybody else immediately, especially with online stuff, like just immediately. So for them, their infrastructure is always
Just because
going
of the data they're getting from the matchmaking and all that
they,
stuff
but
as well, right?
they just have the infrastructure, like and the infrastructure already. They were making the infrastructure work in the beta, and the infrastructure now works with Faceit games. You go and queue them.
I mean,
like,
who's to say Blast couldn't have done that too, right? But obviously, it wouldn't have been on the same level.
It took Faceit and ESEA like fucking 10 years to get anything that was even remotely like workable. Imagine Blast just going, yeah, hold up, let's just make a competitor to those two. Should we? Let's pour millions upon millions of dollars.
No, I'm not talking about like an actual matchmaking experience or anything like that. I'm more talking about the tools to run like pro games.
You need a good anti-cheat, right? Like this is one of the issues.
Right.
Rops was tweeting about this just the other day with the matchmaking shit. Fortunately, pray to Jesus, I haven't run into a fucking cheater yet in my games that I've played so far, but it will come. And I said to the guys who I play with, I said, as soon as we face a cheater, I'm going to face it. Like, I'll play this matchmaking premier fucking ranking shit. Oh, it's all good and fun until I come up against a cheater. When I'm on Faceit, sure, I could still play against a cheater, right? But I feel like I'm in a safer place. I feel like I'm in a safer location. I feel like I've got, you know, snipers at some watchtowers overlooking me. You know, I feel more secure in matchmaking. I played a lot of like matchmaking short matches. Like that's what we'd do. You know, it'd be late at night. Everyone, you know, come on, Harry, Hugo, everyone having a good goof around, playing a shitload of like MR9 Counter-Strike. There's cheaters more often than not. Like it wasn't. And this is the thing as well.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I hate myself. You know that, Striker. I've been hating myself for years. But yeah, like cheating in an FPS game, it's like an arms race. We've known this for years. The people who are making the cheats are going to be building the cheats, and the people who are trying to stop the cheats are going to be trying to stop those cheats. And that's just going to happen. And it's all bang, 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 bang. It's going to keep going. It's always going to happen. That's literally just the nature of our type of game. Like that's the way this goes. So but the cheating issue is going to be the biggest drama unless like this AI can do something about it, right? Isn't it meant to be AI?
I mean, it is meant to be like machine learning, and just being able to like evolve on its own, essentially. But yeah, I mean, that is definitely the biggest problem in terms of the casual community and just the future of the game, right? Just because, like, if you can't play the matchmaking inside the game, the growth is going to be stumped because not as many people will be. Huh?
Oh, you mean because of the cheaters? Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, because of cheaters rather than
Yeah.
Obviously, people can go to those third-party places, you know, but most people will start on the matchmaking that's actually in the game, especially if they're like completely oblivious to whatever CS has been up until now. It's going to take them some time before they even learn of those. Like everything just gets slowed down. The development of the game is not going to be as fast. Everything is going to be better if it is in the actual game and it is as reliable as the services that third party people are providing, right? So that's the ideal. But obviously we've been growing enough without that happening, you know, with Faceit being the leading provider of like a matchmaking service and all that stuff. Obviously a lot of people were still playing the matchmaking in the game, even despite it being kind of a shitty experience. But like we've survived until now, I'm sure we'll survive further. But if we want to ensure the best like growth of the game possible, that's what needs to happen.
Here's one other thing that fucking pisses me off. All right, this is something that pisses me off. Is this? Okay, I'm not as everything in life, I'm not an expert. So when it comes to like servers and sub tick and tick rates and all this kind of stuff, like I don't know the technical side of it. But what I do know as a Counter-Strike player, and this is something I had to remind myself of, right? I had to remind myself of this, that yes, I did actually used to be a professional Counter-Strike player who'd played this fucking 12 hours a day. 64 tick servers and 128 tick servers, I can tell you the difference. I used to play, that's all I used to do. We didn't play matchmaking. I didn't have a rank for like the first fucking 4 or 5 years of Counter-Strike because we never played matchmaking because matchmaking dog shit. 64 tick dog shit. Didn't touch it. As an elitist, like in Oz, playing only good pugs, 128 tick. Good servers. None of this other bullshit, right? Like the bit that pisses me off is if Valve have made it impossible to even try 128 tick sub-tick servers, why? Is it because it makes no difference? Then if it makes no difference, why disable it? Why not let people have it?
Yeah.
Right? Why not let it exist? Why not let Faceit and ES Portal and everybody else fuck around with it? Why
I think
not?
there is a part of it that's like, you know, the placebo effect and like confusion that it adds and stuff
Rob's
like
got
that.
it 30 out of 30 times. There's no fucking placebo. Like,
yeah, but that's CSGO.
That's
so
CSGO, right? I'm. It's too bad nobody did this actually in CS2 just to see how much of it is placebo.
But what do we mean when we say like, dude? When I used to play, I could tell the difference in the way the gun handled in 64 to 128 tick.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm talking about CS2 rather than, you know, just because people like see that 128 that it means like nothing, like whatever, it doesn't matter. I was talking about CS2.
But if it did nothing, why is it removed? Why is the ability to do it removed? Like this is the bit I don't get. Well, like same.
I mean, there's got to be some differences, right? But the like, is it as bad as 128 versus 64 in CSGO? Is it like different? Like, would the ROP still be able to tell 30 out of 30 times in CS2 if it's a Faceit server or? Yeah, I mean, I know.
I have to say though, great video, great idea. Having Europs as your example of a pro player is so unfair. Like he's not the representative average of pro players in any fucking way. He's literally the nerdiest fucking guy that exists. And he's obviously going to nail it every time. I'm not saying other pros aren't, but he is definitely, if there's one guy, that's like, you know, you have a class of 30 guys, 30 people, and you're like, let's test one random person to see how good this class is. And you're all going to get the same grade. And you get that fucking guy that's like front row, extra homework doing every day. You know, he's not the representative player. I'm sure there are players that would not recognize as much as he does because.
But at what point do you draw that, right? Like,
I just wanted to say that this is completely outside of the discussion about CS2, just purely about this video.
But I mean, to be fair, like he recognized it from jumping, he recognized it from shooting. Like this is all stuff that pros will just be able to feel from the game very quickly, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there are people that feel it and there are people that know it, and I think Robs is the guy that knows it and feels it, and that's the difference because he's like, oh, the 6th bullet is a bit slower here. It's like, okay, like people will feel it, but if you don't know exactly where to look, it's going to be harder to nail it every time. That's all I'm saying.
I think I just have a problem with this in principle. I have a problem with this in principle because Counter-Strike as a game, as we touched on when we started this conversation, was a mod. It was a mod of Half-Life. It was a game that a bunch of people made, and then people made maps, and then it just built upon. And then we started CSGO. We came into a situation where Valve came over and they took custodianship back of Counter-Strike, right? They said, okay, you know, we're actually going to do this, right? They took it away from Hidden Path. They came in, they fixed it. And then they offered a lot of community-based things like the workshop, right? Which is great for skins as maps. It's helped people, stickers, all this stuff. It's helped people actually, you know, earn as individuals through something they're passionate about and hopefully talented with to make a lot of money. I love this. I think it's great. This is why I like what Valve's approach compared to a Valorant approach. I don't like hands-on. I don't like constricting. I don't like controlling everything. I want it to be the people in the community can test everything. We had a guy called Sloth Squadron who had all the stats for every single gun and how it functioned for all these years in a fucking spreadsheet publicly available for every single person on the internet to look at if they wanted to look at. But more data that we stopped for people to be able to test these things and make sure that these things are working right. If we're taking away this, or we're taking away that, there's no net graph. Okay, well, now we can't fucking see our ping. Now we can't see this. We can't see that. You can't test 128 tick servers. If we can't test all these fucking things, how are we meant to know what's right and what's wrong? And then how do we know what to accept?
I think it would be definitely fair and good for that to come back at some point. I understand why it was removed, because there was this mass, I would say, a lot of misinformation, as was proved by the fucking the commands that were used for rates that they confirmed.
They said they were legacy commands and they did nothing, right? Wasn't that what they implied?
But people are using them and saying it made the game feel better.
Yeah, but there definitely is placebo.
But they also changed the default values between two updates and then said they did nothing. So I don't know.
Launder's out here saying they're changing fucking movement values and not saying it publicly. If you're making changes to the actual game in terms of movement mechanics and the way that it functions, then we're not saying. Then why are you just trying to fucking trick us? What's the point?
Essentially, like, they are trying to avoid the placebo effect, right? Like that they say something that happened in the game, and then people automatically think, okay, this is what's happening, But instead, if you do some of these shadow changes, people only notice them if you actually feel the difference, and then they will say, okay, but this feels different. Why does it feel different? And then you can kind of realize that there's actually a change and that is doing something, But if you tell people ahead of time, okay, this is what changed, they already go into the game knowing that this is what they should focus on. They hyper focus on that one issue that they just saw in the update list that got changed, or maybe something tipped them off that, okay, but this is what's mentioned in the update, and so this is why I feel worse. And you automatically just you make that link in your head already, and you've decided that's what happened and that this is the reason for it, So I think some of these shadow changes are made just exactly with that in mind, that they don't want people to hyper focus on them, and only the people that actually tell the difference to be able to let them know why it's feeling different, or whatever, some feedback that they have, But
this is one of the things, and one of the things I think I've said on this show a couple of times, is when we're looking to give feedback, we need to give feedback that is past the thing of this is shit or this just feels bad. You need to be able to explain and identify why these things are happening. Again, I'll use the Elysian floppy reference. They had to be able to see the velocity that was being used, right? So they could see that they were moving slower in the mud and in the water, which is great. They come through, they have something, they present it, they go, this is this, and this is why we think it should be this. And then bang, okay, we have a conversation about it. The Valve devs look at it because they look at social media, they look at Reddit, they probably don't look at the HLTV forums, but they probably look at Reddit, and they probably look at Twitter and all these other places to curate information from the community from. And they probably go, okay, yeah, this is something that a lot of people think, but a lot of people want Bob and Traces to be gone, but it hasn't been. It's the same thing that people were complaining about consistently. And I would imagine if they made it so that Bob could be disabled and that you could turn Traces off, that a lot of people were having a hard time in the beginning going, oh, this feels so foreign, probably will be somewhat neutered in that. But maybe that's not what they want, right? There's certain things that Valve want that we have no say in, but there are certain things that we can kick a fuss up about that we might actually be able to get across the line.
Yeah.
Right. And there's certain things as well. Like, why is the HUD not as customizable? I swear to God, in CSGO, I was able to choose where I wanted the bomb to be placed. Right? Like, I'm pretty sure I could put it under my radar, or I could put it.
There are two options for sure.
Right?
There are multiple options, but not like you have full customizability or anything.
But even still, I had those options. Now I don't. Like, where my money is, I don't want my money to be there. I remember talking to Forrest and GetRight about this when we were in the offices, and they said, yeah, one of the things that we use as feedback is, instead of looking at the kill feed to see if we got the kill, we would notice that the money would go green. Right, the money would go green, and and it would be in a position where that I would notice, so they know that was their feedback for the frag.
But you can still do the whole whatever it's called, the HUD scale, whatever, and just scale in. And I know that it's kind of obscuring some vision, but it's also it has to be helpful for people who play close to the screen. Surely, that has to help them a lot.
Yeah, I just think there's certain things which difficulties because it's new and we'll get used to it over time. There are certain things that we definitely need to, like the ancient spawns being much more plentiful. And if you do still move slower in water, because I swear it said in the last update that you don't move slower in mud anymore. But if you still move slower in water, Valve, if you're listening to this and you fuck the spawns and the Ts now have more spawns and some of them are further back, that changes the timings of the map and the way it plays.
Do we know what the velocity command is, how to bring that up?
That's a good question. Maybe someone in chat will be able to help us with that.
Because I literally just want to go and test this just to know, because like there's been so much shit happening behind the scenes that I haven't had a chance to play.
I know with the timings on Ancient, with how the spawns have been, that you can no longer contest mid on the T side. The CTs will beat you there. It's like it was before they moved those CT spawns back, right? So instead of this map being quite well balanced, and I've spoken a lot about this map in recent history due to the Dallas game between FaZe and Ents. I spoke to Snappy and Carrigan while we did like this podcast thing about that match, and spoke about Ancient, and both of them said it's a really well-balanced map. You can go fast, you can go slow, right? You have lots of options in how you want to approach it, and they both seem to like it. Then if you change these spawns, it's a delicate balance. So now fighting for cave control on the T side, if they're getting full mid control, is basically fucking impossible, because unless you're smoking off, we've had to go back to old school Ancient, and I played a shitload of Ancient. I'm now smoking heaven jump up from spawn, so my B lane guys can fight cave and try and get ramp control while two motherfuckers run mid with their mollies, and we completely lock out and lose it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I tested that too, but
I just found
out
what it is.
active, which results in CSGO. Okay. All right. That could be that we will have to check the water situation as well here. See,
I'm checking it now. Yeah, I found it out on Google. But thank you.
Okay, so there we go. We're getting there. Strike's going to have a look at this right now. But I just think that there's
supposed to be max to 250, right?
I believe so.
250 is the max, yeah, and it seems to be running like it. At least reaches the 2 points. Not in a longer time. But okay, like somewhere it's 238.
These are in the water, 238.
Yeah.
But the deeper the water, I think the slower you move.
Yeah. I think there's shallow water like around the spawn where it's 250, just goes up to 250, and then there's like this like running to the tunnel towards B. There's like a deeper part of the water that actually does slow you down.
I guess we'd have to check and see it. Like, does anyone in chat know in CSGO did it function that way? Was that even something that anybody looked at? That's something else to check.
Probably not.
Right. But that would be something else to check in this regard. But all of this stuff, like there are certain things which are in a delicate balance for professional play, which, help put the maps where they are right now. But then you also have open skyboxes. So think about how Inferno is going to work. If I from spawn can smoke off T-stairs and banana with one smoke, doesn't that change the entire meta of how the map is going to play anyway? So then now we're working about how to solve this instead of playing old meta.
But also T side is counter smoking like broken wall from spawn as well. So there's a bunch of counterplay that is happening there.
Yeah, or even mid, to
But that's also something which excites me a little bit, right? When we do start thinking about professional play, obviously a lot of what the professionals are going to be looking to do in recent history is going to be copy what they were doing in CSGO as far as the meta is concerned, right? Of what areas we're going to look to take, what utility we're going to use. And then it's going to be creative people going, oh, well, this functions like this, or we could try to do this, or we could use the nade smoke combo like this, right? People are probably going to use the framework of the current meta and then build on top with other stuff that they see. And then you'll probably get in a couple, 6, 12 months time of these people who have, just really nutted it out hard and are doing stuff that is really CS2, like, wow, we never thought that would happen. This is crazy. This is what this is. Yeah, no, that's what's going to happen.
Wow.
It's what's going to happen. Like, this is definitely going to be a whole new adaptation. Like, if I'm a pro team right now, I'm having to relearn some nades, but I'm probably going to approach the game in a pretty similar way, I would think. Yeah. Anyway, I got a lot of things I want to say, so I think I'm almost out of those things now.
We can kind of close it down. I can give you guys an update regarding the ESL Challenger Jönköping Open qualifiers.
Nice.
We're reaching the top 16 stage, which is like the end of day one. So we can name some names that are through.
I think Smooth's team lost.
Smooth's team did lose to Perivision from Jerry and Co. We have these teams in top 16 so far. One win, the Chosen Few, which is Spellan's Bulgarian team.
Okay.
0-0 Nation, so the new one with Searson, JDC. Hawks. Oh, wonderful _Y from Ukraine. Not the real wonderful.
Okay.
And there's a guy named Real who doesn't really help.
Is it a Norwegian Real?
No, it's X-Real. Bad News Eagles, looking forward to the Frenchies, Nemiga. So Perivision, I mentioned before, Kappa Bar, the Swedes with Jazar, Grindas, which is a Lithuanian team, Force, Preezy, so Nico does refresh, and those guys, Aurora Gaming. These are in the top 16 so far, and 3 more spots left. I see BetBoom versus 500 are playing, and I don't know what else. Who else? Entropic is out. Nexus, the Witchers, and some other teams. But I can say that from what I see on Twitter, it's been fairly smooth. I think Sashi had like a long break in one of their games. I read something about that, but otherwise seems to be going quite well for like the first open qualifier in CS2.
Okay, well that's good news. All right. Do we want to close this down? We done
Yeah.
now? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to leave a bit of a PSA. This is for all the people who are playing for fun. I guess if you're not a professional player or you're playing, a little bit semi-pro or you're a professional watching this, I think we just need to. I think Snappy's way of looking at it's pretty damn good. This is the professionals. This is going to happen, and we're going to get through it. But let's do what we can to let's do what we can to help. Right? If there is a bug, retweet it, report it. You put it on fucking search out these bugs. Right? See how do we get to the bottom of it. Don't just say this is shit. Don't just say this sucks. It doesn't feel like CSGO. Let's try and determine why. Let's also give it some time. Let's play some deathmatch because. Like I'm saying, for me, on a fucking state-of-the-art rig, the game feels quite smooth. The issues are different for me than they probably are to a lot of you, right? And I think having Counter-Strike optimized for as many people as possible is probably a good thing. But that's something that took in CSGO quite a long time to be able to happen. So let's keep our positive Pete hats on. Let's contribute as we can because Counter-Strike is and always will be, a community game where the contributions of the community will have a lot of influence on what ends up happening. And if we do have problems that are big and we think that definitely needs to be changed, then we make a ruckus, as a collective. Yeah. Anyway, this has been HLTV Confirmed, brought to you by 22Bet, SteelSeries, and Tradeit.gg. That's STYKO. He's got cats and office equipment. Make sure you lock both of those things up. That's Prof. He's hanging out. He's got a couch behind him. Dimitri, you haven't seen or heard from him. Maybe his keyboard at one point. But this has been another episode of HLTV Confirmed, and I guess we'll be back next week. Good night.
Best Esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO match and tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Good vibe, train.